Hi, everybody. This is Holly Cotter. How are you this evening? I am really excited that you've decided to join me on this webinar. I have to tell you, my guest tonight is Ken Krell. You may remember him because I held a webinar with him, I guess, a little over a month ago to introduce one of his products. Well, I have been picking Ken's brains about something that he has done very successfully. He is one of the only people I know who has done this thing so successfully. And so when he contacted me to let me know that he was going to be coaching people on this very same topic, I asked if he could please, please, please offer a webinar for you guys so you can see what he's doing and see if you want to get some coaching from him. I'll be honest with you, tonight's webinar is just as much for me as it is for you. I am planning to get more information about this topic from Ken tonight on the webinar, and I plan to be taking notes, and I suggest you might want to get out a pad of paper or open up a text file so that you can take notes too, because this is a very, very powerful uh, formula that you can apply to any niche, anytime, to instantly build authority, build a list of buyers, and basically generate profit and just jumpstart your business in any niche. So with all of that said, I am going to just turn the call over to Ken because I don't want to use up all the time with my small talk. I want to get to all his secrets. I want to know as much as you do. Hi, Ken. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, Holly. Hi, everybody. And I got to tell you, it's absolutely true. When Holly and I get on the phone, it is not a 2 second or 3 minute conversation. It's a series of let's pump Ken's mind for what he's doing. and we did kind of shoehorn this in this week for both fitting Holly's schedule as well as fitting mine to get you in the game. And I'll explain why in just a few minutes. So this really is a special thing. I'm doing this, by the way, today as a workshop. This is not going to be your typical online training. But before we start, I should just realize we have not tested to make sure you guys can hear us. So if you can
Oh,
hear
goodness.
if you can hear Holly's wonderful, thank you very much, dear.
Hi,
Holly's wonderful,
everybody.
Holly's wonderful introduction. Would you pop in the chat? Let me know you can hear us okay, and tell me where you're calling in from today. Just do me a favor and pop in the chat. This is going to be interactive. I'm going to want to see your questions in the chat.
Are you all able to hear us at all?
Here we
Oh,
go.
good.
Okay,
Thanks,
okay. The
Steph. All
little
right.
slow on the jumping in, but everybody just pop in the chat and let me know where you are coming in from in the world, which would be really helpful because Holly, you do have a list of people, a community of people that does come in from all over the world. I've talked to
Yes, they
people
do.
that from Switzerland. We've had people coming in from Australia. We've had people coming in from New Zealand. Some even from the United States every now and then. I've got Ken from Henderson, Nevada. Steph's from Toronto, one of my favorite cities in the world. Cool. Okay, so and the rest of you are being shy. I see that. You can actually. We do want you to participate in this because I did design this program today to be more interactive and less in your face presentation. Throw stuff at you. I find that
If
when
I
we
may interject for a moment,
yeah.
guys, we're going to get a lot more out of Ken tonight if you are not bashful. I have to tell you a secret. He works better when you keep him pumped up.
It's
Don't let
true.
him wind down. Don't
It
let the guy wind down.
it is true. It is true. And by the way, I did begin today for you at 4 a.m. I was watching last night a little just as an aside, I was watching a video of the host of the Today program on the new Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and they get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to do their morning talk show. And 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Today's wake up call for me was 4:30. So I feel like I'm with them, and the sun is coming out right now here in Bangkok. So you're in for a good time today. Let's get the show on the road, and you'll get to see what exactly we're doing.
Okay,
Uh,
before we do, we just need to make sure you guys can see the screen. Right now, you should see a screen that says, I'm going to teach you this by showing you. And if you can see that, just type in yes or I see it, just so we know that you can see the screen.
That's probably a good. There we go. Steph says yes.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Steph.
Thank you
Great.
so
We
much,
know we
Steph.
know it works in Toronto. Hey, Bill. It works for Ken. It works for Bill. It works for Kathleen. Excellent. Okay. Awesome. All right. So again, today is about you. All right, I designed today is about you, and you're going to learn the system that's made me thousands of dollars and helped me build my business within a few short months. And I'm telling you, it's worked. It worked for me years ago. It still works today, but it's different today. So let me kind of get into it, and feel free and pop in questions in the question box. Holly and I will be monitoring them. If I can get the question answered when you ask it, I will do so. If it's best that I wait a little bit because I know I'm going to get to it later, I'll do that. But I will make sure we get some Q&A at the end. Fair enough? So I want to make sure you get everything that you need today, and we'll move forward. And by the way, you're going to learn how to do all this together, put it all together for yourself, and build the same authority and credibility in your marketplace when you do it yourself. Because this is something that is really, if when people ask, what would you do if you were to do it all over again? This is the strategy. And for those of you who have not heard me before, who aren't familiar with me, I am known as the Kenergizer. That, by the way, is a real human eating, well, flesh eating tiger. It did not eat me, thank God. I'm the founder and executive director of the Institute for Totalpreneurship, where we help entrepreneurs become totalpreneurs, giving you the lifestyle and the experience that you wanted to create when you first thought about building your business in the first place. So many people are living lives of entrepreneurial desperation, and the objective for us is to take you to the next level. Actually, not even to the next level, to the level you want. The next level may just be making the mortgage this month. I want you further past that, so you enjoying the travel around the world, the vibrant health, the great relationships, the less stress. And you'll always have stress if you're in business, but the ability to manage it for an amazing lifestyle. So that's what the Institute is about, and everything that we do revolves around getting you to the point where you really are loving what you're doing and making the money to support the lifestyle that you want to make. For the past 27 years, probably closer to 28 at this point, I've trained thousands of people to make millions of dollars in real estate investments and in business. And I'm talking about from all over the world. We've had students from all over the world. I've pretty much done a lot of live trainings all over the US and Canada, where students have come from all over the world to attend. So my goal today is to help turn you from entrepreneur to totalpreneur from wherever you are, whether you're at ground zero or whether you're just struggling. And what we're going to do today and what you'll learn today is this. This is my objective for you all. Okay, it's number one is how to turn your marketing into a more effective, captivating, and energetic client generation machine. And I mean it in just those terms. It's going to be a machine for you. So you can create new, long-term, high-profit business while you sleep. And that's, by the way, like I said a minute ago, even if you're just getting started with zero list, zero product, and no content at all. And I know that sounds very salesy, but it's exactly true. And it's exactly what's worked for me. You'll see why in a sec. You're going to learn how to properly position your event, because we're talking about online events here. Okay. So you can make the biggest possible impact and income. And by the way, that whole positioning element is fundamental to your success. You're going to learn how to craft the perfect structure for your event, so you're positioned for your success from the very beginning, right up front. You're going to learn the new way to position your online event, by the way, that will let you succeed in a world filled with clutter and distraction. Now, if you're like me, you open up your inbox and it's like someone threw up on it. I mean, there's just so much junk that's come in there, and everyone's got their message that they're trying to display. I call that megaphone marketing, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in this program. But the bottom line is that if you're getting all that megaphone marketing, you've got to stand out. And I'll show you how I'm solving that problem right now, which will help you solve that problem as well. We'll talk about the 3 keys to profiting with online events today. All right. The 3 keys to profiting. It doesn't need to be incredibly complicated. It just needs to be properly put together. So it's not about complication. I don't want things that are so complicated we can't figure them out. I want them to be able to be done in basically 3 to 4 steps. That's kind of my mindset. If you go anywhere past like 7 steps, it's way too confusing. And if you can't explain it to somebody else, you shouldn't be doing it, right? So why is this important to you right now? Well, first of all, most marketing strategy that we have learned so far is absolutely dead wrong. Okay, it no longer works anymore because of all the stuff that's going on with your inbox, because of the way the market has turned. What we did 6 months to a year ago does not work today. Nowhere near like it was. For people that are depending upon Google and Facebook to build their businesses, Facebook changes things all the time. And if that's what your business is, effectively you've given the control of your business to somebody else. So that's the challenge with most marketing strategy, is that most people are not adapting. And what people are teaching these days is not necessarily current events. It's book reports of what happened 10 years ago. That doesn't make any sense. as I mentioned, megaphone marketing, all of that emergency stuff. I don't know if you've seen some of these emails that have come through. Emergency webinar, things are changing. Yeah, things change every single day. It's your emergency because you can't make your mortgage. It's not my emergency. When I see these things like emergency urgent webinar, I'm like, you know what? No. And it offends me, frankly, as a consumer. So I try to avoid that. And there will be an emergency webinar if there is a problem with a virus in software, and it's something I need to protect you about. Not because I got to show you the next thing to make you a bunch of money. That's not an emergency. An emergency is if there's something that's absolutely going to affect your business so dramatically. You know what I mean? But there can't be an emergency every day. It's like the boy that called wolf. It just doesn't make sense, and that's what's happening right now. And we're marketing in a world where that is going on all around us. We cannot do the same thing like those people are doing. It will not work. Okay. And the other thing is that most people have been hitting singles and not going for the home run, thinking small. This is extremely important because what I see so often, and Holly and I talked about this last week, what I see so often is that people are just trying to get to the next mortgage payment and not thinking about building a sustainable business that gives them the freedom and the success that they want. And I get this all the time when I do strategy sessions with people. I look at them and ask them what are their goals, and they have to fill out a survey and a questionnaire prior to talking to me, as some of you will today. And in that scenario, what do you want for an income? I got people saying, I'd like to make $20,000. I'm like, excuse me, but you're missing a couple of zeros there. I mean, seriously, their goal in 5 years is to make $100,000. And I'm like, not in my program. That's just thinking small. And part of the reason is that so many people have not yet really believed that they can play big. And that's the biggest challenge there is for most people. It's that head game. Okay. Today is different. We've got to be completely different in what we do. It's just that simple. So today we're not going to talk about getting rich quick. Now, I do want to tell you that the program I'm going to talk to you about today, and when I say programming, I mean the strategies we're going to be doing today, that you'll be executing. And I use the word executing a lot because I believe in execution, not in terms of killing people, but in terms of getting things done. And that's an old mortgage term in terms of when we executed securities and things like that. In your marketing, you never want to use the word execute. It's just not one of those implied marketing terms. But we're not going to do anything about get rich quick. All right. That is a bad connotation. However, when I first started, the strategies of building an online event, online conference, online seminar made me a chunk of money within 90 days. And that to me is quick in the long run. Okay. It's not tomorrow. Okay. We're not doing a tomorrow thing. We're talking about building a sustainable business. This, by the way, is not about a do nothing, get paid scenario either. You actually have to work. And yes, you did use that 4-letter word, but if you're working from the standpoint of a causal place, if you're working from a standpoint of helping other people and adding value, it's not work, it's play. And the fundamental thing that I'm all about, and that the Institute is all about, is that if your focus is on helping other people and serving them, which is Holly's focus, that's why Holly said to me, I'd love to share this with my group of people. Can we do something this week? And I said, sure, Holly, I will get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for you and for your people. Okay, I absolutely will. So that's the difference. You've got to be really willing to step out, okay, and do something. No games, no shenanigans, no black hats. None of that garbage is necessary. None of that garbage is going to win you the long-term success that you want. Just doesn't make sense. So there's going to be no flashy tactics, throwing stuff against the wall. None of that make a buck stuff. This is strategy, systems, and sustainable business. Now, let me make sure that we're all on the same page. You guys good with that? Is that what you is that? Are you consistent with that in your business and what you want to do? And the answers are coming in. Yes. Okay, great.
Sounds great to me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's no reason to do anything different anymore. And what's so surprising to me and disappointing to me is that I see so many folks that are living in that world of gray, and I mean gray color rather than the multicolored life that's technicolor, that should be the way you live with your passion. It just isn't the same for most people anymore. So is this for you? Well, if you have no list, today is absolutely for you. If you want to be among the few online marketers that actually have a thriving, steady, and consistent income, this is for you too. If you want to rapidly create a great reputation of respectability, power, and influence, this is totally for you. And that's if you know nothing about the subject, by the way. If you know nothing about the subject, Who is this not for? This is people that have absolutely no value to offer. If you got no value, you can leave us now. All right. And by the way, what's interesting, Holly and I looked at the numbers. I want you to think about this for a second, by the way, you guys. When you run a webinar, when you run an event, everyone counts the numbers, how many people are registered, how many people are going to show up, and so on. At the end of the day, I don't care that there are not 17,000 people signed up for the event. I care that the people that are there are qualified. Because if you're all about the numbers as opposed to the quality of the audience, you're missing the boat. It's the quality of that audience that matters. So an intimate audience of a small number, that is a small number of actual buyers, of people that are serious, that are my universe anyway, I'm happy with. So I want you to think about that. That's fundamentally important. We're not looking for the magic answer here. If you're looking for the magic pill, I got an easy button, but I don't got the magic pill. All right. And by the way, if you're a blamer and don't accept accountability, you are totally not going to resonate with me at all, because I'm all about in your face for accountability, for getting stuff done. If you want to work with someone who's going to tell you the truth and point you in the right direction, this is for you. If you don't want that, if you want the nicey nice, not going to happen. So let's get real today. First of all, the results you're going to see from me are not remotely typical. Why? Because everyone's results are different, because you're different. All right. Most people, by the way, who buy any how to make money program, they will make zero money. They do nothing. They buy it, they stick it on the shelf. So in terms of all those disclosures what we've now had to start doing over the past few years, I'll tell you right now, the average person doesn't make any money. It's true. And I don't want to talk to average people. I want to take people that have been living a life of average results and turning those results into extraordinary results. But I don't want to work with averages, because average is failure to me. Okay. I take very, very seriously, and I don't like excuses. Okay. This is about results, because the average person has little or no results, because the average person does zero due to lack of work, lack of focus, and lack of dedication. I believe it was Og Mandino, and I may be
It's, I
remember.
have to admit, I have to,
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
want to just jump in and say,
Yeah.
this is so true. Ken is not just saying this. Out of every 200 people I bring into a training program, I'm lucky if one or two of them ever take action.
Oh God. Yeah.
It's very frustrating as a coach, because I've been there. I've gotten the results. I know that the only difference between me and those other 198 people are that I took action. I took that dream or that idea, and I actually took action on it. That's the only difference between success and failure. Sometimes is just taking that action.
It's true. And well, it's interesting. You'll hear this later on today, but when I have a high level program, and today's program is a high level program, for people to be able to actually join it, they got to talk to me first. I have to accept them into the program. I don't want people saying that they took my program and didn't get results. Not going to happen. That's not where I mean, that's just not the way it works. I want to make sure that what we do gets results, because I don't do this just because of the money. I do this because there's a lot of really fun stuff that comes with helping other people. When we have a high level coaching program called the Trailblazers. We meet every single week, and when people go through their breakthroughs, and we find their passion, and then we give them the strategy to actually achieve the way to get to their results, and then we mastermind with people where we can actually match them up with people that can do business with one another. It's pretty cool, and the feeling of that is so much fun to see those results. So if you're not going to create results, I don't want to work with you. I mean, and by the way, you should have the same level of standard uh, of something very similar to that. Think of like Steve Jobs. Average Steve Jobs was failure. Okay. I want you guys to have that same level of, of, of demanding for yourself. Okay. I got to confess to you though, that I have an advantage over most people right now. Today, I have a name in the industry and a list, and that's great. But I didn't when I began. I mean, in fact, I had a bad name, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay. Now, when I first began in the online business, I had a great life. I was hanging out with Tony Robbins, and worked with him
Look
for.
at that baby
Oh
face.
my God. I was looking at pictures earlier today, Holly, and yeah, they're pictures I just can't show you, because I'm so vain, but I look so horrible. But I mean, we traveled, that was in Paris. We traveled from Paris to Venice on the Orient Express together. And we had the best time. And that was basically $100,000 a year of working with Tony. Okay. So making great
Wow.
money, living the high life. I mean, great lifestyle, loved it. And then decided I would diversify my portfolio. I was heavily involved in real estate, and I took it to the next level by creating a 500 plus acre development on the coast of Costa Rica, overlooking the Pacific. It was pretty incredible, and unfortunately, I never saw the crash coming. Never thought it would happen the way it did, and never thought it would go as deep as it did, but it did, and it devastated everything. I mean, I was literally at rock bottom. Went from millions of dollars and all my retirement involved in everything in the crash, lost every bit of it. And the biggest humiliation was they came to take the car away. And I looked at one morning, I was like, my car's gone. And it wasn't stolen. So that was massive. And because it was internationally investing and had raised millions of dollars from investors, friends, and family, and so on, I got accused of all sorts of bad stuff, especially because of the international thing. It was awful. It was millions of dollars in debt. Then I had a heart attack on top of all that. So, if you want to talk about like a country music song, that was my life at that point. Pretty bad. And then I had to declare bankruptcy after all that madness for the second time. It was a multi-million dollar bankruptcy. So you talk about ultimate humiliation. My first bankruptcy was 24 years old, and it shaped me. It shaped me in terms of having humility. It shaped me in terms of recognizing the value of the dollar and hard work. And it shaped me for recognizing that the only person that was going to get me out of my mess was me. Then I had to do it again. So that was pretty nasty. So I started out with no list, no online reputation. In fact, it was bad because of all that madness. No money, no home, no car, and literally no home. I was on my mom's couch at the age of 50 plus. Okay. And couldn't market myself because of legal issues. Because even though I was an expert in many, many areas, to talk about myself as a guru or talk about myself as an expert would then give the perception of them being incredibly successful, even though that is perception. In the middle of a bankruptcy, you can't exactly strategically, you don't talk about being successful because then the bankruptcy trustee wants all the perceived money that you don't have. Trust me, it was bad. I was living life in failure land. In any event, make a long story short, I was dabbling in online marketing and I was doing pretty mediocre. Bought thousands of dollars of the get rich quick stuff, just like most of you probably have, and didn't go through them, just like most of you probably haven't, right? And then the ones I did go through, well, they didn't work. And I didn't feel connected to anything. Did I admit, started selling some of the get rich quick stuff too, but it just didn't work for me. And there was no satisfaction in that, which is why I'm so committed to helping you get that feeling of satisfaction. So there was a decision that had to be made. And that for me was either growing or dying. I mean, it was that simple. My mom, as nice as she was, she'd look over at me, and I was on her couch, by the way. I'm literally on her couch because my mom was sort of a hoarder, and so her guest bedroom, you can't find the bed, literally. Um, so she wanted me out of the house basically, and so I had a choice of taking control of my life, or what else was I going to do? So I get a job or find something that will be passion. And so I ultimately figured it out. And I did the thing that most people will not do, which was taking action and implementing it immediately. I mean, at that point, there was nothing else left for me to do. That's what made the difference. It was the action. The turning point for me was deciding to commit to real marketing instead of all the gimmicks. Okay. And that's why I'm so specific about that with you, because I lived in that madness for way too long. And I committed to produce only top quality services that focus on real value first, not the hype, not the gimmicks, not the madness. And I'm thinking about, I mean, for me, it's Steve Jobs. That's the guy that I look to, in concept of being Apple, of being simple in terms of execution of what we're going to do to make things easy to operate, but having that level of excellence that I accept nothing less than that, to where the product and the service is so fine tuned that it's just nothing but excellent. Period. Okay, that's how I like to operate. I admit, I actually borrowed money to buy some of those important courses like John Carlton, Dan Kennedy, and so on, and some of the legends, and then also the guys that are crushing it today. I mean, I borrowed money to do that because I had to. I mean, I didn't have the money to do it myself. And I committed to following their teachings to the letter. And that meant not being the distracted, going from, bouncing like a ping pong ball or bouncing like, in a slot, oh gosh, what are those machines well, I'm going by a pinball machine. That's it. None of that madness. It just had to be really clear focus, because focus is the key. And that really was history. It was the rest was history. I've created multiple online conferences and summits, from the World Speaker Summit, the World IM Summit, the World Authors Conference, the World Cairo Conference. I went into areas I knew nothing about. Trading profit strategies. So we did online trading as well. And that was providing a program to teach people how to make more money in the trading market. I know zero about the stock market, but I do know how to put together a program, and that's where money gets made. So you don't have to be the expert. You just got to be a great host. I create a webinar series with industry experts, and now I live the Totalpreneur lifestyle because all of that's virtual. I did not have to rent a hotel room. Having done live events before, the risk of renting a hotel room and trying to fill it with bodies is incredible, especially today. So, and with travel costs so high and so many different programs competing for your attention, you've got to minimize the risk as much as possible so you can succeed. And if you end up promoting, there was an event that was held recently on the East Coast, and I was asked to participate in it, and I said, what are your proposed numbers? They said, well, we'll get about 500 people to show up. I've got a room block of whatever, and I got a room that'll hold 800 people. I'm like, okay, that's pretty auspicious. I don't think you'll come close to succeeding that, but good on you. And I kept hearing the hype. Oh, we're gonna have 500 people, 500 people, 500 people. They had less than 100. They couldn't fill their room block, and they lost their meeting rooms. They had to actually hold it off site. It was humiliating for the promoter. And the person that did promote this event, who shall remain nameless, God knows what happened to that person's reputation. But surely there is a lot of significant people who are involved in that event that will never work with them again, and lost a lot of money in the process. So to be able to do things without all that risk is super important. And that allows you to live the Totalpreneur lifestyle because you can do your event from anywhere in the world where there's Wi-Fi, and you don't have to get dressed up for it. I can tell you that some of the events that I've done, most of the events I've done actually here, and I've been in Thailand doing them from all over the world. I wasn't even wearing a shirt. I was sitting in shorts and flip flops, and that's been my lifestyle. It's totally cool. I now run something called the Excalibur Society. You'll hear about that in a little bit too, where people that come into my events are invited to join us. And our next trip, we do 4 trips around the world. Our next trip is in September to Nepal. So that's the kind of lifestyle I want. That's actually taking pictures taken at the top of Nepal. That's the kind of lifestyle that I live. And that's the objective for me to help you get to that point, to be able to actually take baths with elephants, which, by the way, we're doing in September, and jumping on the mountains. And this is Burma right here in the middle. If you can't aspire to the dreams that you have and don't see yourself achieving them, that's going to be a problem. So I really want you living in that element. Okay, so how do we get there? I mean, enough about me. The point is, we are tremendously in an amazing time. Sorry, I ended up muting there for a second. We're in an
I was just
amazing.
going to say, we lost you.
Yeah, I muted myself for a second to try and cough elegantly so you wouldn't hear me.
Hey, I unmuted myself and I didn't mean to. I was letting the dog outside, so I apologize for all that
No,
noise back a little while
no,
ago.
I did. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we are living in an absolutely amazing time where the ability for us to create results is better and easier than it has ever been before. Okay, we can reach people at a cost that has never ever been cheaper. It is amazing, and that's really leveled the playing field. There are no global limitations. Before, years ago, when I was doing all these live events before Al Gore invented the internet, and I could only reach people that showed up in my seminar room. We then went to teleseminars, and now the webinar thing, and now the Google Hangouts thing. I mean, at this point, we can reach people in all over the globe from wherever we are, from an iPhone on a sailboat in Croatia. And that's not being made up. My mom and I were Skyping to each other a couple years ago. I was in Cambodia at a hotel exploring ancient temples, and she was on a cruise ship in Croatia, and we're both on an iPhone, on our individual iPhones, on Skype doing video. That's the kind of time we're in right now. No global limitations. Now, what people are doing is that they're scratching their head. They have no idea who anybody is, and they're not connecting with an audience. That's a problem. What they do is they're basically they're missing the target. They're throwing arrows in multiple directions. I get people that are. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody. The person bought 9 websites in multiple areas, and I was like, "So, what's your niche?" And she said, "I'm an affiliate marketer." And I'm like, "Yeah, and you're never going to make a penny because you're doing what you're seeing on the screen here. You're throwing arrows in so many different directions. You're never going to get to the target. Pick something that you want to be known for. Pick something that you want to specialize in, and then you'll hit the target. And you may not get in the center initially, but at least you'll get on the darn board. That's the difference, and that's where you got to focus. So there are 3 keys to being able to do an online event. The first is positioning. I'm going to go through these real quick, then we'll dive in. The second is creating the right partners. You cannot do this one alone. This one is about working with other people as partners, as joint venture people to build for you. And it's a lot of leverage there, huge amounts of leverage. And the third is promotion. So it's positioning, partners, promotion. Okay, plain and simple. Let's dive in. Now, I do need to warn you. Okay, as I share the system with you, and I put it together into a system because after doing this for years, in order for me to replicate it each year, I want to follow the recipe. So I created it in terms of a complete system, and we map it out time wise, kind of like on a schematic, like on a Gantt chart. So we know we've got to do this first, and next week we better do that because that takes 30 days to accomplish. And unless we start that next week, we can't get everything in play to meet the goal of having an actual show in 90 days. So it's all about the timing. Anyway, I get real enthusiastic about this stuff.
Ken,
Yeah.
Ken, before you move forward, I'd like to just let everybody know this, what he's about to reveal to you, is the system that he developed where, remember, he said he had zero lists, zero income, zero everything. This is what he used to restart, or I guess regenerate, his business. And this is the system he would use if he had to start it all over again now. So now is the time to pay close attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he kind of glossed over that. I just want to perk your ears up here.
Yeah, when it went in that email swipe where it said, what would you do if you would start over again? This is exactly what I would do. And I got to tell you, let me just preface this. Why am I teaching this right now? This is really kind of important. Holly and I were talking about our upcoming trip to Nepal. The trip to Nepal is, my God, it's going to be absolutely incredible. In fact, I'll show you just real quick because I want you to understand the why behind all this. Okay, and we'll get to this particular screen in just a second, or three. But the Excalibur, this might be. Let's see. I think. Let me just get to this. We're going to Nepal, and see if I can just get you this real fast. Here we go. Okay. Anyway, so the trip to Nepal is 14 days. We're going to be trekking up to on top of Poon Hill, which is this amazing mountain. We're going to be working with kids and helping in the educational programs over there. We're going to be going to ancient temples. It's an amazing agenda. We're there for a giant festival, one of the top festivals of the year. It is just a massive trip, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. This trip, for all that we're doing, is a killer value. The trip is also $5,000. Now, a lot of people have said, I would love to come. By the way, where this picture is taken of me of the selfie, you'll be doing the exact same thing. I mean, that's the coolness of it. Now, the trip is $5,000. It should be closer to 10. We're doing it not to make millions of dollars. We're doing it because it's part of our Excalibur program. It's part of our Excalibur Society. But a lot of people said, I would love to come, Ken, but I don't have $5,000. And on top of that, I also don't have the time to go away for 2 weeks. So what I decided to do is, how can I help people create $5,000, or actually a little bit more than $5,000 between now and September, because the trip is September 5th. And actually it needs to be done by August, because if you haven't paid by a month in advance, I can't count you. It's like going on a cruise. You got to pay, you got to pay it to be able to, get on the boat. So this whole course, this whole element of Endeavor today was created to help my future Excalibur members actually be able to afford to come on this trip. So I want you to be thinking about that. There's a specific goal. This is not a make $1 million by the age of 36. This is not about that. This is, I want 10 grand by August 5th. You know what I mean? That's what this is about. It's that specific. And when you set your goals that way, you're far more able to get to results, because there's something incredibly specific. There's a specific dollar amount, there's a specific date, and there's a real clear intention of being on the top of that mountain. Do you follow? I mean, does that put things in a perspective that you understand why you got to be focused? So let me get back to the presentation, but I really wanted you to get a perspective and see yourself in this kind of scenario, because that's what's going to happen. And the first key, like I said, is positioning. When you do an online event, you got to decide who you are, what you're looking to play, what your event's going to be all about. All right. It kind of comes down to that element of simplicity. So what am I talking about? When I first started out, And by the way, I do not have multiple slides on this. Again, this was designed as a workshop for you. So if you have questions, jump in. And then I'll be going back and forth between the websites that we created, and I will even do a couple of notes and do some of the math, in Microsoft Word. I mean, this again, this is not a flashy presentation that I do to 47 million people, because the course that you may be invited to join starts next week. This was not about a multiple giant product launch. Just so you're clear about what this is about today. Anyhow, when I first got started, uh, I had been very successful in real estate. I was the senior trainer for the Russ Whitney organization, traveling all over the U.S. and Canada, teaching people how to make money in real estate. Was with them for a lot of years, and when I left Whitney, even though I was so successful with them and people were lining up to come to my trainings because I was like the most fun, and I was. I mean, we did amazing stuff. We did group dinners at our classes. No one ever did that stuff. They got letters from me prior to the event, setting them up to know what they were about to be expecting. I created the environment before they ever got there. Very important, by the way, incredibly important. And you'll do that virtually as well. So I was doing all this sort of stuff, which was why people kept signing up for Ken's class. And in that company, I was well known. But once I left that company, no one knew who I was. So for me to go back into the online real estate training world and be like Mr. Guru, they were like, Ken who? Even though within Whitney it was like, you better take Ken Energizer's class, and there was a waiting list to get into my class. So that, first of all, was a big ego change. It was like going from Mr. Celebrity in house to, who are you? So I had to position myself as an expert. Okay, I had to position myself as somebody who really was a senior citizen in real estate. I mean, gosh, my first product came out in 1984. I found old cassettes, and it was copyright 1984. So I'd been doing this for a long time, and we're now, what is that? My God, it's now 30 years. Holy mackerel! So guess I better change my press stuff. I said 27 years. It's now 30. So in any event, I had to do that. Now, what was the best way to accomplish this? Well, I talked to a friend of mine, and this is a gentleman I've known for a lot of years, makes a lot of money online, and he said to me, just do like an online teleseminar and do a series of interviews with people, and sell their stuff. And I thought, okay, that's a great idea. It's been done before. I've seen it before, but let's look at something differently. Now, I just started hearing about webinars at the company I was training with. They wanted me to just start doing some webinars, and I resisted that, to be quite honest. I was like, I don't want to have to follow a format and not be flexible, because I've always been the kind of guy that would just do things on the fly. But I looked at the webinar piece and I thought, for me to be able to add video, that would be important rather than just the audio component, because I wanted to make sure every sense got chosen. So positioning was very important. The first thing I did was I created something called Real Estate Profit Training. And I decided to go back into real estate because that's what I knew. I was an expert at real estate. I trained people for years to make millions of dollars in real estate. So I decided to go out and find out who were the top 10 people online that were providing great education and had killer product to sell. And I created Real Estate Profit Training. It was a weekly event. What we did was we did a webinar every single week for 10 weeks. Everyone promoted the event, okay? And I got the list. Now, why would somebody agree to promote my event to their list to sell their stuff? Well, the answer is, can anybody answer that by why would somebody promote my event to their list to sell their stuff? Can anybody answer that question? Why would they do that? Any ideas? You guys are being kind of shy. Think outside the box a little bit. Okay, well, I'll share it with you. Even though you guys are not stepping up,
I
the
think
answer.
it's, you know what? I think it's just so out of the realm of what happens in the internet marketing space. People just really don't know the answer.
Yeah, well, here's the answer, and the answer is all about greed. You see, what I said to them was, you get to capitalize on the list and sell to the list of your 9 top competitors, because everybody has to promote. If you don't promote, I kick you off the program. And this is what I said too. I mean, I was really direct about it. When you promote, 9 other people are promoting too. So we've got a now a new list of everybody's names. Now, of course, it was everybody's opt-ins because not everybody would sign up, but we had about a 48% opt-in rate on our page. I was watching every hour. I mean, I was actually spreading, I mean, I was so excited that every hour I was watching that. So what was happening was, if you were a speaker, you still wanted to capitalize on on your reach, but you might not get to do a webinar with one of your competitors because either you've not gotten around to it or that person just didn't want to promote you. But if you had 9 other people all promoting, you got the ability to actually promote and sell to 9 of your top competitors. Okay. And additionally, because we were promoting it and we were going to start advertising it as well, you were on our sales page. So your picture was being promoted everywhere. Now, remember, this was a few years ago. It's a little bit different today, but that's how we began. It was by putting that offer in place. Now, mind you, I didn't even do a presentation. I was just the host. So every time there was an event, I was in that webinar room. I did the introduction. I jumped in kind of like what Holly's doing right now. I facilitated and I rode the coattails of their expertise. So even though it was a no name, I knew a bunch of stuff. Clearly, I mean, I've been doing real estate for a long time, and I was really doing real estate, not just doing talks about it. I was actually investing. So when somebody came in and started talking, I could leverage that and give a couple of little things from my perspective, which positioned me so perfectly as the guru of the gurus, of the expert. Okay. Now, that's the positioning of you as an expert. And by the way, when you're now attached to all those people and your name is showing up in an email every single week of here's who we have next, here's what I've got for you, here's why you want to listen to this person, it did put me in a position of being kind of daddy, of being the person that's looking out for that audience, you see. So it really was a great way to create that authority and that influence right away. We'll get to the money in a minute, but the money was pretty darn good because I made money day one. Like with the first email, we made money. You want to learn how to do that? That's what we did. And that was the model. It was all about positioning the thing. And that was the model. We'll get a little bit deeper into that in just a few more minutes. But that's what had to be done. It was that element of positioning the event, positioning me, and in your case, positioning you for profit. Okay. Any questions at this point? I want to make sure that because this is a really, really important point. Okay. All right. Now, in doing this, you got to decide what kind of an event you're going to do. All right. Is this going to be a free event? Is this going to be a paid event? How are you going to run it? Okay. Are you going to do this event weekly, bi-weekly? Are you going to do this event twice a week? Are you going to do this event over a weekend? There's a lot of things to consider here about how you're going to position it. Now, I started this relationship doing it once a week, but boy, that was hard. And by the way, I did that for like 3 to 4 different times. And it was hard because by the time I got to the 10th week, people started like, oh, another one, and they started to wear out. Where I thought the audience was going to grow, it grew quickly and then it started to fade out because people were getting a little bit punch drunk. So I finally, after a few years of this, said, there needs to be a different way of doing it. Again, evolution. All right. And the evolution was, let's try doing something over the course of a weekend, like a live event, a pseudo live event, only we're doing it virtually. And I ran it by a couple of my friends who thought, kind of risky, Ken, if you do all this work and it doesn't come off, you got a problem. I said, well, it's the same element if they don't sign up for a 10-week program. You got to try something new. Well, we tried it and it worked great. And I was able to do it by putting all my energy into one weekend rather than stretching it out over 10 times. So your positioning makes sense. In terms of positioning also, do you want to offer a free event or do you want to do it as a paid event? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Just close this little window here. Whoops. Hang on a second. Okay. So this event, which is not mine, this is current. I just got an email about this yesterday. This is a personal transformation summit. Okay. Empowering you to be the change you want to see in the world. Sounds lovely. This is the top of their thing. And there's a little video from this guy in his office. And I don't know about you, but there is no motivation for me to do anything with this site. He's just getting started. Clearly, he's not been coached by me. But this is a free event. You'll notice in early registration bonus and so on, but it is a free event. Okay. Now, hopefully, his profit model. Okay. See, free online event. What kind of person comes to a free event? What do you think? Do buyers come to free events, or do people looking for free stuff come to free events? There's a different element to who your audience is. I began this exact same way, by the way. And I might still do a free event to do lead generation and lead generation only. But understand something, that when you do this, and it will build your list really fast, when you do this, you're building a list of freebie people. You are going to get buyers too, but you got a lot of freebie people. So what you want to do is you want to think about which way you're going. You will build a bigger audience, so you'll feel better about yourself, but you will probably make less money. At least that's been my experience. We began with free events. We went to paid events where we were actually going to pay a ticket price to get in, and that person that comes in is now a buyer from day one. And so while I may have smaller numbers, I got numbers that buy. I got numbers that buy. Now, by the way, this picture here, this gentleman, Dr. Fab Mancini, lifesaver, lifesaver. I'll show you why in a few minutes. But this is leverage right here. Okay. And why do people want to play with you? Because their names, their pictures are plastered all over the internet. I mean, promoted to thousands of people all over the place. So it's another way of building promotion and opportunity. Okay. So not what I would call the optimum page. Okay. What I did was I did run a video, but in this case, we were talking about people who had messages that had causes. So we went to cause. And by the way, you'll see that in this case, I was not using my own name when I was promoting. We talked about changing the world because, again, the speakers that we were looking for were people that were coming from a position of passion. We had sponsors. Okay. I'll teach you how to set up sponsorships. And that was really, really important. Okay. We talked about the dream team. We talked about no travel required in the 3-day conference without the hassle. So we set things up to mimic a live event and talked about the value of it. Okay. 33 hours of content. Who is it for? People coming from all over the world, what you'll learn. I mean, we just went deep into it. And by the way, this is one of our older sites. And by the way, this was not free. Okay. The normal rate is $597. You can reserve your seat now for $297. We sold $297. Okay. We also offered $97 seats as well to members of certain groups and associations. Okay. So we gave people a coupon code. Okay. So there was a lot of things that we did. What does the tuition include? It gave them the recordings. Okay. Now, on a free event, the way that profit model works is you sign up and then you get to be upsold into the recordings. So either way, you'll make money day one, or you should make money day one. We just wanted to make the money real clear or with solid buyers and not have to go twice. Okay, so they knew they were coming into something that was real. By the way, if you're coming into an event where you're paying money up front to come, what does it tell you?
Ken, I'd like to,
Hang on, let me finish asking the
Ken,
question. Yeah.
I'd like to make a point.
Okay. Let me just finish my thought here,
I'd
Holly.
like to make a point.
Let me
Okay.
let me finish my thought. Okay. When you're coming to a paid event and you see a paid event online, you guys, what's your perspective of that event? Paid event where you're paying for something immediately, where there's value on your screen, versus come to this free thing. What does it tell you about the event? What's your feeling about it? Do you feel that it's more serious if it's a paid event versus free? Do you feel that you're going to be sold at a free event versus a paid event, or sold more? See, it's all positioning. Again, that's why it's so important. Okay, Holly, go ahead.
Well, I think it's very interesting in my experience and in yours, and it should make sense to everybody listening, that you're going to make more money if you sell a ticket to every person who's attending versus hoping that a percentage of the attendees will buy the recordings afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean,
It,
it just makes sense. And you shared with me in our talk last week when I was picking your brains that when you sold the seats rather than a free event, that you actually made more money, not just from the ticket sales, but from the people that purchased from the event itself
oh yeah,
or purchased these speakers
we
items.
we made more money with less people. And by the way, these are real testimonials. Okay. Your first event, you may not have the testimonials to play with. So you just got to leverage it. You can leverage your guests' testimonials, right? So you do want to show some social proof, but these were all real. And we have tons of them. Okay. And here's what our faculty was. And then what we did was we did more information, and then we did pop-ups with their information. So I'm running a little bit slow, but this is what we did. Okay. So you could actually get more information about who they were and what they were doing. We had all-star cast. So that's the beauty. And by the way, with all this, there's a lot more positioning that goes along with it. The free event versus non-free event is really kind of fundamental. But you've got to get yourself positioned very clearly. Okay. So those are just some of the basics on your positioning about where you're going. Very important key to where you're headed. Second key is getting the right partners. And I'm talking about the right partners. You see, because at the end of the day, these folks here, whoops, where are they? Let's get them on the screen for you here. Oh, let's see the further down. Actually, let's show you another one. Let's show you World IM. Okay, this was a few years ago. This was because this was the World IM Summit. We actually had people from all over the world. This was cool. I didn't realize this was going to have the impact that it had, but this map, people loved this map because they felt they were being part of something big. Okay, but the people that are in here. Okay, there's more testimonials once again, but on our faculty. Um, and again, notice that this is an older event that we did. We didn't have them lined up together. We had them lined up in a long list. But take a look at this. This is what people said about Jerry. So these were his testimonials. This is what people said about Karina. Well, we don't have testimonials from her. Ty, Laura. So it keeps going, and we had a lot more bio this way. We changed it. I guess this is an older one, but what you would do is if you don't have your own testimonials, throw in the testimonials about what people say about those guys. You see, that's how we went and we did it. Really, really easy to do. But these people that I'm showing you here, these guys are the key to your success. These guys, when they come in to be your partner to speak with you, they are your partner. Okay, they're going to get paid accordingly. Now, what's important is that they understand that their job is to promote as well. And if they don't promote, they can't be on your stage. They just can't, because you're leveraging their list as well as their expertise. So they're going to have to promote for you. Now let me see if I get the right partners page here for you. I think it's under partner. So I created a full page. I mean, there's a whole affiliate level that goes along with this on how they're going to get paid, what they're expected to do. Here we go. Okay. And by the way, we now use a complete instant pay system so that the affiliates and the partners were getting paid instantly. Again, there's a video that I created for them. And let's see, this was done a couple years ago. So here's the strong results. You get paid fast. This was just for the regular affiliates. The speakers had a separate thing also. Okay. And then they got to sign up. But we made it very clear what the speaker's responsibility was. Okay, that's important. They've got to understand that they've got to produce for you, because if they don't, you're gonna have a problem. If they don't produce for you, okay, then your numbers will be off. So you've got to have them committed to your event. If they're committed, they'll play. And by the way, that's one reason why your positioning needs to be incredibly important, because the event has to be a passion for them. I talked to you about Dr. Fab Mancini. I showed you his picture earlier. This website you're looking at right over here is the way we sold the World Chiro Conference. This is take a look at this page versus this page. Okay, new person in the game, clearly new. Okay, versus a few years of building on things to where now we've targeted our audience and positioned ourselves very specifically. What's most important to you? Tell me what your goals are, and we'll customize the page for you so that way we talk in the language to the actual attendee to get them there. Very important. Are we talking to a chiropractor or a chiropractor assistant? I am not a chiropractor. I know nothing about chiropractic. But we design this page and we design this conference to serve that community. So like I said, you can go into an area you know nothing about. But we're asking them who they are and a little bit about them. And why would I ask these questions? It gets them involved, first of all. It also allows me to speak in their language in the sales page to be able to talk to chiropractors that are seasoned chiropractors over 6 years, or someone who's brand new in the business. I can use language that talks to them in what's going on inside their head. So if you're brand new in the practice and you're not making the kind of money you want to make, I can talk to you about your new practice. If you've been around for a long time and some of these newfangled guys are doing things different, or you feel like maybe you're stagnant or something, I can talk in that language. So I asked those questions, you see, and we got answers. And what it did, it allowed us to actually generate on the fly the page that they came to sign up for this event. And it talked in the language. If a chiropractor was going to the page, it talked their language. If it was a chiropractic assistant, it talked that person's language. If they were brand new, it talked about being new in the practice. So everything was customized. Now the page is loading slowly because I'm just eating up bandwidth here. We've got a webinar, unfortunately. And then there's a video that was a compilation. I got all the speakers to shoot video for me too. We did Google Hangouts in advance. We positioned this beautifully, and the more involved they got, the more committed they were. If you just say, hey, come, would you speak on X date? it's like being on anybody else's program. But if it's like, hey, let's position this properly, let's do a little video together, let's do a Google Hangout together, let's do a couple of previews together, bam, it makes a giant difference. And I had every single one of them give a bonus. So when you signed up for this event and paid the $297, or in this case $597 for the event, you got $4,000 of real value product from those people. Okay. And by the way, we went right to the jugular. Learn how to boost your practice with better patients and more satisfaction. We learned that the chiropractors wanted better patients, people that actually they were enjoying having, and they wanted to enjoy their jobs more. How to maximize the profitability of your practice. We ask them what their challenges are. Okay. We have sponsors. This was the Congress of State Chiropractic Associations. The Association of Associations was one of our sponsors. How could how no one knew who we were, but we got one of the top people in the industry to sponsor us. So Chiropractic Economics was, I don't know why they're not on this page. For some reason, the logo's off of it. But we also got the #1 magazine, media magazine for the entire industry sponsoring us as well. In fact, they required, get a load of this, they required that their logo be on all of our emails and on our website, which is why I'm surprised it's not showing up right now. But that was part of our contract. So every email went out that said sponsored by Chiropractic Economics, or Dynamic Chiropractic, rather, excuse me. So what does it say about you in terms of credibility as an unknown? It leveraged me instantly. So those were my partners. We had over 20 speakers for this event. Okay, over 20. This was, by the way, this was just a snapshot. Then further down, it went down here. There's our dream team. And by the way, this is my template that we use. This is all of our system. The same no travel required copy is all here. We've used it before. We just changed the graphic a little bit. We changed the way it looks because we keep growing each time. And all these, here's Fab Mancini again, my buddy. Okay. Now, here's the thing that you need to understand. Okay. As you position yourself and as you look for your partners, you cannot be meek. You've got to actually step up, put on your big boy boots, and make phone calls to people that you would never in the past think about calling. Dr. Fab Mancini is a legend. This gentleman was the president of Parker University, one of the top chiropractic colleges in the world, if not the largest, I believe. Now, Dennis Cummins is a friend of mine. Dennis and I used to speak with Harv Eker. Dennis still does speak for Harv. Really cool guy. He's a chiropractor. He's made a lot of money in chiropractic. And I called Dennis and I said, you want to play? And he said, absolutely, I would love to teach. And so he taught how to create a passive practice. Dennis is wonderful. Anyhow, he said, you need to talk to Fab Mancini. And I said, okay, well, who is he? Because I had no idea. He said, Dr. Fab is a legend. You got to have him on your program. He's really cool. He's the nicest guy. I said, do you know how to get in touch with him? He said, no. I just met him at an event. He's really cool. You should get him. Now, good God, what do you do? How do you find this guy? I mean, he's a legend. He's formerly the college president, university president, and like a legend. How do you get him? Well, I went to his website. I found his number on his website because he had it on his website. And I called him. And he called me back. And he called me back on a weekend of all things. Okay. Now, I told Fab what I wanted to do. He's passionate about what he does. He's passionate about chiropractic. And he said these phenomenal words. How can I help you, Ken? And I said, well, Fab, who do you think would be a great speaker? And Fab said, oh my gosh, I can get you everybody you need. I kid you not. I could not make this up. All by making that one phone call. So Heidi Farrell came from Fab. Larry Markson came from Fab. Dr. David Singer came from Fab. Dr. Delray Messer came from Fab. Jason Deitch from Fab. Okay. Brett Axelrod came from Larry Markson. Okay. Marcus Chacos, we found. Casey's a friend of mine. Jack's a friend of mine. Ted's a buddy of mine. Love Ted Miller. Michael Burnoff, amazing. Kasha Nievenhoven came from Heidi Farrell. Okay, they all leveraged off each other because they were passionate, you see. So we built a great, and then Schwartz came from Ted Miller. So they leveraged themselves to me. Scott Holman came from Ted Miller, by the way. So all these guys that are in here were incredibly helpful and passionate and committed because I brought them in as partners. I gave them a great compensation plan, okay? And some people just came because they wanted to play. Larry Markson didn't sell anything. He gave away a free book. David Singer kind of barely sold anything at all, too. He gave away something free also. Now, these guys are legends. and so generous with their time, so generous with their commitment. I mean, really, really cool people. Fab and I have become amazing friends. I mean, like we'll talk to each other at 10 o'clock at night, kind of friends. That's really cool. So when you build a conference like this, you don't have to know a dang thing about the topic. You just have to have enough confidence to be able to get out of yourself and make the phone calls and do what it takes. That's what it, that's. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's about a big commitment. So that's your second key is your partner, is your partners. Third key is promotion. Now, the idea of promotion is how are you going to promote this event? Clearly, the partners are going to promote. But additionally, in terms of, and I've kind of integrated all this together into our presentation today, the third piece of the promotion is how are we going to get it out? Well, before the event, I like to do some free stuff. So we will promote with webinars. We will promote with Google Hangouts. We've done a bunch of those, and where it's come in and get a taste, and we give a little taste for 20 or 30 minutes with multiple speakers of what they're going to be hearing at the event. And we sell the value of that event. We also sell that you, if you get it by X date, you'll get a 50% off on the tuition. The tuition for like World Chiro, which was one of our more recent conferences, was $597, a real price for a real event, right? And by the way, it will be recorded and available to you forever. So what was the cost? The cost was $597, but you can get it for $297 right now as an early bird and get full access. And there were, although in this case they missed it, so there was the $597. We gave discounts for associations and groups. We gave discounts to the speakers, and we did all that sort of stuff. Okay, we gave people the reason for coming. Okay, and these are all the things that the speakers were talking about. What does your tuition include? Same thing, and all the bonuses that people got that were real value bonuses, not junk. We're talking about lead magnets here. We're talking about real stuff. Okay. How did you determine a good event topic? Well, quite frankly, in terms of the actual event itself, Steph, I talked to people that knew the market. I asked Fab, "What do you think we should do?" Plain and simple. It's like I knew I wanted to do a chiropractic event on how chiropractors can make more money because I knew that they were having problems. But I went into the marketplace. I said, "What do you think we should do?" And they told me because they knew the market better than me. I didn't. I mean, again, I knew nothing about chiropractic at all. I know about business. I help people build businesses every single day, but how to adjust a patient, not a clue, and shouldn't be what I do. And we position myself as here's this. We position myself as the patient who fell in love with the practice, with the industry, and wanted to help build it. And that's how they promoted me was this guy is committed to chiropractic and loves chiropractic. Let's help him help us. And I brought in technology that they didn't have before. They weren't using webinars, so it was kind of a different mindset. Now here's the thing: today it's different. You got to do things a little bit differently. How did I settle in the industry? I saw an opportunity, Steph. It was that simple. I knew that there were not a lot of people that were actually promoting education to chiropractors, and I just saw it as an opportunity. Did I have a giant affinity for it? I have an affinity for chiropractors because they put people out of pain. They help people, and I wanted to help them do better. And then I was expanding this to build my Boost Your Practice brand, which was all about helping alternative health professionals, if you will, like chiropractors and massage therapists and anybody that in a non like MD scenario build their businesses. So this was the beginning of that. Our next element was going to be dentists and veterinarians and others. So that was how I chose on. It was that simple. I saw an opportunity, plain and simple. Today, what I would do is I would look at a marketplace that I have passion for, that I want to serve, that I want to grow my business in. That's number one, choose your marketplace. And then I would do an event that is very highly targeted, very highly targeted. Because right now, these online things like this guy's thing, and I'm not taking away from him at all, but I don't see any giant specific focus here. He goes right to his speakers, and I'm still waiting for the headline as to what I'm going to get out of this thing. And he hasn't gotten my attention. Join these speakers. Are you ready to make a change in your life? Yeah, I am. I'm going on vacation. I mean, there's nothing in here that has grabbed me by the jugular to capture my attention. Marketing 101, this thing fails. The most powerful interviews on workshops in personal development history. I've heard that before. Haven't you? It doesn't do anything. When I did my real estate programs, I said eavesdrop on the profit sucking technology that these gurus have been teaching their high-powered clients for years. I mean, right to the jugular. Now, I wouldn't be as into your face right now, but today, what would I do to avoid being caught up in this kind of madness of everyone's doing the same thing? Is I would do not a summit, not an online event like that. The word summit is way overused. We began that process like 3 or 4 years ago, and now everybody's using it. Whether they're copying me or copying somebody else, don't know. But I think I'm the one that really kind of coined that, or even online conference. And that's what we've been specializing in for so long. What we would do now is an online intensive. So the next series that we would be doing is going to be the Totalpreneur Intensive, and it will be what you need to create your Totalpreneur business rapidly, rapid results. And everything that we'll do will be specific on turning your business into rapid profit with the right people. So we're not going to be talking about something that's generic, learn how to become a better entrepreneur. It's going to be how to make money today in your business, how to take your business from zero or from where you are right now and double your business. Okay, I mean specifics for that. People will come to something that is specifically designed to give them a result, not to a generic gloss over of 10 different ways you can make money in your business. I want Here's how we're gonna take you down the path to get you to Nepal, for example. How we're gonna make $10,000 in 90 days. Okay, it's got to be that direct. If it's not, then you're still generic and you're like everybody else. It's got to be specific enough that if you got a problem, we're gonna fix it. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for solutions now. They're not looking for all sorts of pitched gloss overs. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's got to be something that leads you to a result, which means you can do what we've been doing for years with one day events of having 4 speakers, period. Now, do you build the biggest numbers that way? No, because you only have 4 speakers promoting versus the 10. But you do have something that's very, very specific that can really do well. Okay. And by the way, when I do a workshop, it can be 2 or 3 days. My events are 3-day workshops. This guy's got it spread out over I don't know how many weeks. That's hard. That's really hard. And getting people to continue to stay and keep their interest, very, very hard. So by doing it over a 1, 2, or 3 day program, and then I do a follow up 2 weeks later, great results. Works so much better. So your promotions can be really important. These days, we back in the old days, we didn't do Facebook ads. These days, Facebook ads, definitely. Okay. These days, we want to do as much promotion as we can of our own stuff. We use our own software. We use our iBoostify site wrap software to do retargeting, and retargeting is where if someone came to our website and didn't buy, which is most people, by the way, most people don't buy because that means your conversion rate, the average conversion rate is certainly less than 50%, which means most people don't buy. So in this case, we'll retarget them and they'll see our message following them around the internet for the next few weeks. So we don't leave them alone. It gives you a much better opportunity to win and make money. And by the way, that retargeting piece can increase your profits by 300 to 400%. So that's our promotion piece. It's giving people a taste of it up front and continuing to go after them over and over and over again until the event is completed. And by the way, after it's over, we're not even done yet because we'll promote the follow-up as well. Now let's talk about the numbers on this thing because I want to just give you a real good solid perspective on what I'm talking about and how this works. Let me figure out where I'm going here. Here we go. Okay, so let's go into doing the math. And by the way, this is not a prepared slide. We're doing this right on the fly over here. So let's take a look and let's just play it basic and small. Okay, so let's say that we do an event and we're going to sell the event for a whopping $97. Okay, that's what it's going to be. All right. Now you may show a $597, but with all the discounts, the early bird, and the scholarships, net is $97. Okay. Now again, I do different numbers, but right now let's call it $97. And let's say that we sell 100 seats. Okay, so that's 100 seats, $97. So your gross income is going to be, let's do the math, $9,700. Right now, that $9,700, you're gonna if your partners, whether it be an affiliate or your speakers, are doing the promotion that they're supposed to do, that means you're going to give away half. Okay, so 50% to the partners. All right, and I like using the words partners and affiliates, especially with the speakers, because I consider them partners. So that means you keep $4,850 before the event even starts. Right now, from the day your first email goes out, The money that comes in is yours. Okay, how's that work for you? You guys happy with that? I like getting paid quick. Okay, so now you've already gotten a payday before you've even delivered the event. Now, you are delivering value because when they get to the website, you will have provided them with the bonuses, like that in my case with Cairo, for example, it was like over $4,000 of bonuses. So they had the ability to actually download bonuses right then and there. So you were giving them value in the members area, not having them wait. Okay. So now there's the 4850. We have 100 seats to the webinar, okay, or to the actual event. Now, normally at any kind of a webinar or presentation, you're looking to see a conversion rate of about 10%. But let's just knock that down to 7.5% because I want to be talking conservatively here, okay? So if the people that showed up at the event, 7.5 of them, let me say that 7.5% of them rather, or 75 out of the 100 bought, okay, during the event. That means that what you're going to be getting was seven and a half sales out of each presentation, 10 presentations with 10 speakers. So what you're going to get was 75 sales. Okay, 75 sales, and if your average sale is $200, whoops, average sale. Now, by the way, what pricing do you want your products to be sold at? That depends upon your marketplace. When we began, we had products that were over $2,000. We went from $97 to over $2,000. Today, Marissa Murgatroyd, with her events, she does $197 is her max, nothing more than $200. My events range from $297 to $997 for the most part. But let's use $200 as an average. So that means if that's the case, then you generated $200 from 75 sales, and that means that you have $15,000 of sales at the event. And by the way, this is before merchant fees and so on and so forth. Okay. Now again, you're going to split that profit, so that's $7,500 to you. You get to keep. Whoops. Right. So you keep the $7,500 here, right? And you keep the 4,850 here. So right now, and this is just the front end of it, okay? And I say front end, I'll explain why in a second. That is a whopping, what is that? $12,350, $12,350 just up front. And I'm saying up front because of this. This is at the actual event. So half of it was the beginning, half of it was with your multiple speakers. But then you're going to do a follow up 2 weeks later. This is my model here. Okay, and I'll have another 2 or 3 speakers on a 1-day Saturday event. That's a follow-up. So I got another opportunity to sell more stuff. And people buy at that point also. But what's our long-term goal here? The long-term goal is generate new paying customers and build your audience. So now by doing that, you position yourself by being the host. You'll add some content to it as well. And then you invite people to a coaching program or some other kind of back end program that should cost them X dollars a month, X dollars a year, or whatever it is. Now, if it is in an area that you know nothing about, for example, for me with chiropractic, I don't know anything about chiropractic, but I sure as heck know about how to build a business. So they would be coming into my Boost Your Practice coaching programs. Okay. We've expanded that right now to the Totalpreneurship brand. So now you'll be coming into my Trailblazer or Explorer programs. Okay. Which are anywhere from $100 a month to $297 a month. I'm sorry, $247 a month with annual discounts. So anybody that comes in at a $247 a month value or $247 price, that's $3,000 a year or $2,000 up front. So your back end, if you just had a back end relationship where just 10% came in at the back end, that's 10 people, right, paying you on a back end program. And by the way, you should do better than the 10. You probably do 20 or 30, okay, over time with it, whatever your marketing is going to be. Those 10 people, if they came into a $3,000 program, that's $30,000. And by the way, that $30,000, who's that go to? It goes all to you because you don't split that. That's your back end. You follow? So with most models, all people see is this business right here. That's all they ever see. With our model, you get that, and then again, depending upon what you're selling, you get that. You see what I'm talking about? So now you got a nice little payday on your first event. I've heard so many people that have done events, they followed other people's models and so on, and they walked out with maybe $1,500 after all the work. That's not acceptable. My objective is for anybody that's going to learn to do this is that you walk out of your first event with $10,000 up front, and then you got a back end that you add to later on because you're looking to build a long-term business. You can then run your next event 6 months later, a year later. I mean, you can do another event to an ancillary part of your marketplace 3 or 4 months later. But after your first event, you need to breathe. You need to take a little bit of time off because it will take it out of you. Okay, but you see the opportunity here. We're beginning with absolutely no customers and clients. We're beginning with no knowledge of, or people not knowing who you are in the marketplace. But now what you're able to do is you leverage all of these experts here. Okay, all of these experts in the speakers on the speakers conference. We got all the different speakers wherever the heck they are here on my screen. Um, Scroll down. We'll find these guys. There's our faculty and staff right here. Again, every time you do an event, your model will be a little bit different. Okay. Um, and let's see. World I've already closed that, but World Cairo, again, they're all there. So you're leveraging all these people. You are now among them, and your picture appears by them. Now I put my picture at the bottom because I really wasn't known, and I wanted to leverage it differently. But you would stick yourself right up there as host, right there. Okay, I wanted to celebrate these guys again. That was my strategy then. Now I will put myself right up top because I am the host. Okay, so do you see where that comes from, guys? So now you have all that leverage in place, and the bottom line is that you get to move things forward. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, let me press on then. What we decided to do, because this frankly is exactly how I would tell my people to raise the money to come to Nepal. I created a program, and I created a program that is actually being created on the fly with you guys. And here's what I mean. You're going to have use the exact same system that I'm doing, not reinventing the wheel, and completely clone everything that I've shown you so far and that I'm doing right now. Why? Because what I'm going to do is create a brand new conference directly for you, and you will get to watch over my shoulder, meet with me twice a week, and do your own. So this is going to be learning by doing. This is going to be like reality TV for you. Okay. So let me share with you exactly what this does so you know it's right for you before you get this. Okay. Here's what it's going to do for you. First, it's going to be a reality marketing experience, like I mentioned. You'll be looking over my shoulder, seeing what I do, and completely copying me, by the way, in your voice, in your niche. So you're not, when I talk about copying me, you're not doing my program. Okay. You're going to do your program. You can completely rip off everything that we use. Okay. But it'll be in your marketplace. How do you know if it's right for you? Well, first of all, you're going to position yourself as an expert, just like I showed you, so that you'll shave months, if not years, off your self promotion and get to piggyback on the power and the influence of your entire faculty. That's exactly what I did. You will make money faster, so you can actually earn a profit before your event even starts, like I just showed you. You'll create the power and the influence that you need so you can sell back end offers, which multiply your profits. As you saw a few minutes ago, that $30,000 of back end is nearly 3 times what you made on the front. Okay, that's where the giant profit is made. And by the way, I didn't do this in my first few events. So I made decent money, but my gosh, the big money comes from that total back end. And by the way, we didn't even talk about the lifetime value of that list who will continue to buy from you over and over and over again. Okay, you will multiply your effectiveness. So you don't have to go to work so hard to create the income that you want. And if you've been banging your head against the wall to try and make things work, this I don't know anything better, to be quite honest with you, that is more long term, that is an easier way to go, that allows you to leverage things and really become a giant celebrity quickly. I just don't know any other way to do it. Okay. You'll make a bigger impact, build your tribe faster, which allows you to connect and help more people as you make more money at the same time. Because to me, that's the bottom line. It's really providing a value and a service. And finally, you can stack the benefits. You can completely leverage other people's influence and their lists so you can make money like crazy. This was designed specifically for you. This was designed specifically for my fellow entrepreneurs, totalpreneurs, and people that want to come to Nepal. Plain and simple. But here's the thing. This is not a write me the check, lay down your credit card, and get on board. You've got to actually interview with me to be accepted. Why do I say that? It's really simple. And this is how I want you to think about your businesses as you grow them. The people that come onto this program with me, I'll be talking to you twice a week live. Okay. I mean, this is like a mastermind. We're actually doing stuff together. You'll be looking over my shoulder. We'll be making decisions together on strategy. Okay. If you're not willing to do the work, if you're thinking that you're just gonna pay the tuition, by the way, it's not a cheap tuition. This is not like the $97 tuition, by the way, that people talk about for $97 training. This is significant because the results are significant and because the actual program is significant. We price based on value. Okay, so if you're not going to do the work, I don't want you. If you're a complainer, I don't want you. And if you don't have something that's really viable, it's not going to make sense. And at the end of the day, if you're not cool and fun to work with, it won't be a match either, because I'm going to be spending the next 3 to 4 months with you twice a week, helping you build your business. And I want to love working with you. I want to be able to look forward to having you on that call with me. I want you to look forward to it as well, so that we're working together in a partnership, and what will turn into what I would hope to be a long-term partnership. So we got to talk to each other. And what you do is you get on the phone with me for 15 minutes and we'll figure it out. If it makes sense for you, if it's something that you absolutely want to do, we'll figure out a way to do it. The thing is that most people really aren't serious about building a business, and they don't do it right. Okay. And at the end of the day, okay, you got to be able to build a business the right way, creating steady and consistent income with people that you really enjoy working with. So you'll interview with me. And if it works out great, we'll get started together. Plain and simple. Okay. Now, the program itself, because I know people have been asking in the chat about what the program is. Let me just kind of tell you what it is, so you'll know why you absolutely want to get on the phone with me over the next couple of days. Okay. And by the way, there's no charge for the phone call. So, and it's free because we're going to do it on Skype. All right. You can get over 24 hours of live training. I'm talking about 2 hours a week, 2 1-hour sessions each week is what the plan is. And we're scheduled to go for 3 months, but the reality is it'll probably be more like 3.5, because of just elements of timing. And you may not be running your event. Your event may be in 3.5 months. Well, I'm not going to leave you 2 weeks before your event starts, for goodness sakes. I have a vested interest in your success. Okay, so you're also going to get some what we call inner game power booster sessions. I've got a wonderful expert that is going to be helping us actually work the internal stuff for you on a weekly basis. And what she is going to do, my friend Diana Cottle, she created the Cottle Code. She's going to work with you to holistically enhance your results. And what the heck am I talking about? Here at the Institute, if we just give you something to make money, if you don't have the element of self-concept and the reasoning inside of your brain to really embrace your success, you're not going to have the same level of success that you deserve. And you're not going to get the best value out of anything that you do. Plain and simple. We have so many obstacles, so many ways that we resist our success. So we're going to work on that and blast that away to do some head stuff every single week. And this is not going to be psychoanalysis or anything like that. There'll be no pain. There should be no crying or any of that kind of crazy stuff. It's really about helping you. And we got some great technology that will absolutely help remove the obstacles from your success. Okay. I'm also planning on guest interviews as well. Let me see if I can go back up again. There are other people that are doing successful models of online events. Marissa Murgatroyd is one of them, for example. There's another one for the Tapping World Congress. They make a fortune on something as interesting as tapping, energy tapping on EFT. I mean, crazy. So I want to get them an interview for you, and others. You will also get access to my marketing vault. What the heck am I talking about? Well, since I've done this a few times before, as you've seen, you're going to get access to all my stuff. You're going to get access to my email swipes. You're going to get access to our affiliate programs. You're going to get access to how we talk to the speakers and what the speakers' agreements are, all of that. Really important stuff. That's thousands of dollars of investment that we've made that you will get access to as part of this course. And by the way, you will get a completion certification as well, so that if you actually want to become an online event producer and charge people for doing their events, I know one guy that's charging over $30,000. At least that's what he says he's doing. You never always believe whatever he's saying when they're bragging about their numbers, but he's charging like 30 grand to run an event for associations. He does all the work and he gets a piece of the action too, but 30 grand up front. So with a certification from the Institute as a certified online event professional, you can now go out and do the same thing. To get your interview scheduled, and you got to do this within the next 24 to 48 hours, because we start this program next week. And I don't want you to have to start backwards, start behind and listen to the recordings. I want you to be on live, because the beginning of how we set it up is fundamental. So you want to go to www.totalpreneur.com/OESF, which stands for Online Events, Online Event Success Formula. So I'll put that in the chat for you. Totalpreneur.com/OESF. When you get there, you'll see our long sales letter. Okay. Scroll down to the bottom. All right. I'll show you real quickly here. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So this is the page. Scroll down to the easy button. Okay. Or click where it says click right here. Either way, click the easy button. When you click the easy button, it'll take you to this page where you go ahead and you make an appointment. Select the top one, which says, "Is this training for me interview?" It is free. There's no charge. Don't select the personal strategy session right now. We don't have time for that. We do need to just get you into the program quickly. So you'll go ahead. You'll get on this with me right now. Book it. You'll get a choice of schedule. Now, in this case, it's real-time availability, although I've got to approve the time because it doesn't connect to my personal calendar yet. But it'll give you the ability to select a 15-minute session with me based upon what's available on the schedule, on the calendar. Okay, and I look at that regularly, so you'll be able to get on board with me later on today, tonight, tomorrow morning, whatever works for you. And again, there's absolutely zero charge for talking to me for this. Okay, we want to make sure that it works for you. All right, so that's going to be fundamentally important. You'll do your personal survey. You'll get a personal survey too before you get on with me, so that we'll get a better handle on what your goals are, what your interests are, and so on, so that we can actually make the most of that 15 minutes together, and we'll see if it's a match. If it's a match, we'll get it going. And if you need a payment plan or something like that to get the program working for you, we'll figure that piece out as well. The bottom line is, if this is something that resonates for you and you want to do it, we're not going to let money stop you. At least we're hoping we're not going to let money stop you. We're going to get you in the program. We'll figure out how to make it work. It's just a better way to get you in the program. So come on and play with us. By the way, something I do want to tell you is that we've saved the best thing for last. To create the actual website that you saw and have the exact sales funnel, and that includes the pop-ups for all the speakers' information, that includes the affiliate pages for the affiliates, that includes the speakers' pages and the speaker resources areas, all of that entire funnel. When we create a funnel for people, a sales funnel, it's $15,000 plus. Okay, we will give you a complete funnel to meet your needs. All you've got to do is give us the pictures of the people that are showing up, their bios, what your event's all about, all that business. We will integrate it with your I use Infusionsoft, but we'll integrate it with your Aweber account or whatever you're using for your autoresponder. We'll integrate it with your e-commerce platform and so on. All of that will be done for you. So there is zero excuse. It's a complete done for you system. And again, the reason why I'm doing that excuse me, is because I want to eliminate all of the things that could potentially stop you. I want to eliminate all of the things that perceptibly stop all the entrepreneurs. It's like, but I don't know how to build my website. Well, don't. We'll do it for you. Okay. That's a $15,000 value. You're getting that as part of this event. So I'm giving you a hint. This particular event with me is, again, it's not a $99 thing. It is significant, which is why I want to be sure it's completely right for you. Okay, so kind of summarize what all is in this. It's over 24 hours of live training, the inner game booster sessions each week, the interviews with some of our guests, which I'm really gonna be a lot of fun. Access to my marketing vault, and that's a $5,000 value. I kid you not. And there's many more thousands of dollars in that, in terms of all the contracts and agreements and swipes, and I mean all of that. By the way, you'll get access to my JV Rolodex too. Now, let me explain what that means. If you're accepted into this program, okay, if we're putting you into, if you're doing an event that is going to make sense for example, my friend Fab Mancini to promote. Fab loves being on events that contribute to lifestyle and holistic healing, for example. I'll connect you with Fab. I'll talk to Fab and say, what do you think? You want to play? And we'll see if we can get him on as a guest and he'll have him help you, provide you with suggestions for other speakers. Also, I will help you leverage your event if it's something that fits. If it doesn't fit or doesn't make sense, clearly there's not a match there. So it's not like you're just getting my, I'm not going to promote for you if it doesn't work. It's got to make sense for everybody all the way down the line. But I'm delighted to do that because it serves you best. You'll get the certification as a certified online event producer. You'll get the complete website funnel also. That's over $26,000 of significantly real value. You'll be paying just a fraction of that. Okay. How do you get speakers? It's simple. You go out to the speakers, just like I mentioned earlier, and you invite them and you decide who it is you want to use. Now, I leverage one off the other. I got Fab Mancini. I got all the chiropractors. It was just that simple. I always leverage that. Good question here, though, is will there other costs you must incur for advertising and so on, display ads, Facebook ads? Yes, Jim, absolutely. Now, the cool thing is that when I began my business, I didn't have a whole hell of a lot of money at all. So I was dependent upon all the emails going out from all of my partners. And that's how I did it. I didn't use Facebook ads. The cool thing is, though, that if you're going to run Facebook ads, you can run Facebook ads relatively cheaply. I'm talking about $20, $30 a day. So not expensive in terms of putting things together. And if you don't want to run your Facebook ads until some of those emails go out from your partners, then you're going to have a couple sales up front to subsidize the Facebook ads. You follow what I'm saying? So it shouldn't be that difficult. The other expenses that you'll have, obviously, to host your website. But I tell you what, if we're building it for you, we'll host it on our server till the darn event's over, for goodness sakes. We're building it anyway. We're going to build it on our server. So, under those scenarios, we're happy to host it, for goodness sakes. So, the other expenses that you would have are your typical business expenses. You got to have an autoresponder. You got to have e-commerce. You can run PayPal. Okay, we ran everything on PayPal, by the way, but we ran it through our own specific cart. And I can connect you with some of those resources that will not be that expensive. One of them, you'll end up paying a little bit more for each transaction, but it's done and it gives you an instant pay platform. So there's lots of options for you. I want you to understand that while this particular program is not the bargain basement, super cheap Kmart program, this is not Kmart. We're talking about taking you to Neiman Marcus here because I want you to have Neiman Marcus results if you're familiar with some of the American brands, okay? But I operate like with the Neiman Marcus taste for me, but I work with a Kmart budget. So we'll leave it that way, okay? I'm very, very effective with how I spend my money. Okay. By the way, just as an FYI, I say this up front to everybody. If you're not thrilled with what we're doing, you're going to get a complete refund, plain and simple. Now, I also want to tell you from a reality-based thing, excuse me, we don't do a no questions asked refund because that's garbage. We do what I call a 3 questions refund. Why would you do a 3 questions refund, Ken? Is that like getting in the way of someone being feeling safe? No, it's actually reality. Here's the 3 questions. How can we make it? Whoops, it's backwards. Excuse me. What happened is the first question. What happened to make you unhappy? Number 2, what should have happened? And number 3, how can we make it right for you? How can we fix it for you? If there's a problem, we want to fix it because you signed on to this for a result. If you're not asking those 3 questions with anybody that you're doing business with that's unhappy, you're missing an opportunity to grow your business and make a long-term customer. Some people will just really want to know that you actually care about them, and that's the bottom line. So we ask 3 questions. If we haven't resolved it after 3 questions, you get your money back, no question. Okay, I mean, it's that simple. We want happy people. And by the way, like I said, we're not accepting everybody, so it's got to be a perfect match for the 2 of us. So if you want to make your marketing tons more effective, tons more profitable, if you want to build an active list fast, if you want to create power and influence as if you were on autopilot, because again, you're leveraging everybody else, so it happens for you. And finally, create the freedom and confidence you deserve in your business so you can really be jump-started to leverage yourself out there and do it all within 120 days. And why am I saying that? Because we're going to Nepal, and I'd love to have you coming to Nepal with us as well. But if that's not even part of your interest, this model is going to be completed within that time frame because that's the way this was designed. Okay, this is definitely designed for you, completely designed for you. Okay, so go to totalpreneur.com/OESF, which is online event success formula, OESF. Get yourself signed up for that free 15-minute session with me, and let's see if it makes sense. Everything you need to know is on that page, by the way. Whoops, let's go back here. Okay, so there's the whole sales letter and so on about why this is important for you. But you want to save some time? Just scroll right down, click the easy button. It's that simple. Everything's in here. But just click the easy button and get right to scheduling yourself now. And you want to schedule yourself ASAP because, again, first of all, I'm limiting this. I'm not taking any more than 10 people. Number one, because this is going to be very individual. Number two, it starts next week. And number three, I'm offering this again to my list tomorrow. So it goes out twice. And Frank, the only people that have been exposed to this has been your people, Holly, and my list. That's it. This has not been a giant launch, and it's really because Holly said, "I want to offer this." Plain and simple. This was created to get my people to Nepal. Okay. So, and by the way, when you order right now, well, when you get in the strategist and you join us, we'll also enroll you in our Explorer group coaching sessions. That's a $1,200 a year value. You'll have Explorer. They meet twice a week. Also, sorry, Explorer meets twice a month. Forgive me, and you'll have Explorer access during the time frame that you are in our course. Okay. What?
Wow.
Yeah. So,
I have tried to jump in here several
oh, sorry,
times
sweetie.
to just comment on what an incredible value. And every time I open my mouth, you came up with, there's one more thing. Oh, and now there's one more thing. And I'm
Yeah.
just like going, oh my gosh, can I just have a question? Well, actually, I have two questions for you. But the first one is,
Yeah.
do you need me to also sign up for that 15-minute session? Because I'm interested. This is
Um,
really exciting.
well, for you, sweetie, we've had a lot more than 15 minutes together. If you want to play, I'll accept you for sure. I know you
Okay.
want to. Definitely you qualify for this event for sure. Because I've talked
Yeah.
about how this fits for you.
I
Um,
do want to talk with you though about a couple of niches I'm working with and if
yeah.
they would be a fit.
Well,
So,
it's interesting that you raise that because Jim has that very same question. So you
okay,
want me to answer his question first before you go into your next one, or you want to ask
sure.
you?
And then I've got another question.
Okay, so hold your question and let me answer Jim. What businesses would not be a good fit for this, like doctors, dentists, roofers, home builders? Here's the thing: what businesses do not have conferences, meetings, conventions? Which ones don't have them? And the answer is none of them don't. Everybody has some kind of an association. The funeral directors have associations. So the big question is, what market do you want? What market do you want to grow in? Because that it really is about you. In other words, if you let's just say that you want to do something for funeral directors, and that just came off the top of my head. Can you not do the how to make money in how to improve your profit in funeral homes today conference? And that wouldn't be conference; it would be the intensive. So it's the funeral home profit formula intensive, and you'll have the top speakers in funeral home marketing and funeral home success being on your faculty. Simple. And there'll be some names that they know and some names that they don't. Now, how did I find out who the players were in chiropractic? I googled chiropractic training, you know, and I found people that had websites and had courses that they were selling, and I had my team call them. Now, if you don't have a team, then and you got to do it yourself. That's how I began. I didn't have a team back then in the old days, but I had my team in the Philippines, and I've got a full staff that works with me. They're amazing. They saved my life. Um, I had them reach out and ask people, "Are you interested?" Some people were like, they wouldn't even return phone calls. Some of them were obnoxious. Seriously, they were like so full of themselves, and others were like, "Oh my gosh, thanks for the opportunity." Dr. Marcus Chacos from Adelaide, Australia, amazing, wonderful guy, and has a great story. We leveraged him a lot because he had a tremendous story. Okay, so that's one way that we do it. So it really depends on what you want to go. So what Jim's asking is, how do you find the best speakers? Oh, well, that's to me, Jim. That's kind of the easy part, because first of all, I'm going to look for what they need. Okay, so if you go to like funeral home blogs or whatever in that marketplace or the associations, you ask. So I would go right to the association president or the association executive director, even maybe more so than the president, and I would ask, listen, what do you need? We want to do something. What do you need? And by the way, I give them an opportunity to promote and give them the opportunity, if they want to raise money for the association, let them come in as an affiliate, or give their members a discount. They love the discount piece. A lot of them don't want to profit from it, but they love to give out discounts. So I go straight to that association and I say, listen, who are the leaders that would be important that I would want to have in my faculty? And I ask. I ask for referrals. That's how I do it. Now, by the way, if I know what the top issues are in their business, I may use a speaker that's completely unrelated to their marketplace. So for chiropractors, I added some speakers that were marketing speakers that were not chiropractic specific speakers. And I brought in some branding experts, for example, the great branders, and some of their clients have been chiropractors and dentists and so on, so they could speak the language. My friends Blaine and Honey Parker, but we took their message and put it into that marketplace because it added something new and different, a different spin. Now, the other part of the best speaker piece is that they got to be able to sell. They got to be able to they have to have a list, and they've got to be able to sell. Now, how do you know that? Well, you kind of want to ask around, and you'll ask them, how well do you do? And if they're lying to you, you just play it. If you don't think that they can do well, you can listen to one of their webinars. If they've done webinars before, great. But if they don't have product, the only reason why you'd want them if they don't have product, at least the biggest reason, I'll leave it that way, is for the notoriety of being on your platform. So one of the reasons why I was totally happy to have Dr. Larry on my stage was because everybody knew him. Larry Markson was amazing, and he promoted. My God, he promoted. So that was really important to have Dr. Larry Markson, who everybody knows, loves, and respects. He's been around for a long time. He brought me that notoriety. He brought me that influence. Do you follow? Okay, so that's what we did. And okay, what is exactly the presentation of these businesses? How to make more money, how to market offline, how to spend less time in your business, how to pay less in taxes. That's all going to depend upon how you put it together. It's what they need. And that's what we'll discuss in the actual program itself. We'll map out what you have to do. And you'll do some, I'll tell you what the research is you got to do, the questions you want to ask, and then we'll build it. We'll build it together as to what's going to serve those guys. But understand that the basic thing that people want, that you want as people is, you're motivated usually by feeding fear and greed, right? So we'll go into how to solve those problems that are messing up your plumbing business or messing up your funeral home business or whatever. It's really giving them an intensive result based on what their biggest pain point is today in their marketplace. And by the way, this is marketing 101. It really is. It's giving them what they need. So that's how we do it. And again, all this gets customized because what we do for the funeral home directors or the plumbers or the chiropractors or the dentists or the entrepreneurs, they all want the same net result is to improve their business. But the way they think right now and the language that they use, different completely. Talking to authors,
Hey, Ken,
totally different. Yes, Holly.
I still have my other question.
I know. I was trying to segue to it, so go right ahead.
The other question is, if we hit the ground running, I know you're starting this coaching program next week. What is the shortest time that it could take us to put together an event to the point where it's being held?
Great
Can we
question.
do it realistically in 2 months?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's closer to 90 days, and let me just lay out
Okay.
let me lay out the timeline for you. Okay. It's going to take you a couple weeks to get your research done, probably. Okay. Then you have to identify your speakers. Then you got to build your website because you can't go out selling anything until all the pieces are in place. So you start out with, what is this event going to be? Okay. Get your speakers, and it'll take you a couple weeks to get your speakers too, because now again, it could be faster. It could take longer. Depends upon how much time you have to play and how responsive everybody's going to be to you. People don't always respond to emails. Sometimes you're playing phone tag for a couple of days. And especially for me, for example, because I am on the other side of the world, I don't really want to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing phone calls to the US. So, there is that element. But you should be able to have your first event within 90 days. You better have your first event within 90 days. So 60 is pushing it because, again, you've got the timeline of the setup, and you can't just put your website up tomorrow. I mean, you can have your framework up, and then we just plug in, and so we would definitely want to build your framework. But in terms of plugging in the speaker's pictures and the speaker's bios and the bonuses that you're putting in, all that takes time, and they're not all of
Okay,
them.
so there's 90.
I would say 90 days.
Okay, so there's 90 days. Is that something that we're doing while we're working our jobs or our regular business tasks
Yep.
around
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it will take some time. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, and I didn't get a chance to get this done before this, but my buddy Davin Michaels runs a great outsourcing company in the Philippines, And one of Davin's promotions has been to work with JV partners like me, where he will give me the ability to give you a certain time of his VAs. So I'm going to talk to Davin. For those of you that are going to join, we'll see if we can't get you, one of those free trials of his VAs, and then ultimately you'd want to bring them on. Using 123 Employee is a really smart thing to do. And by the way, I run my own people. I mean, they work for me. They're on payroll with me. I would use a service. If I were you, I would use a service. And the biggest reason why is because when power goes out, Davin's got a generator and he's got internet. When power goes out for me, I don't get stuff done. So it may cost a couple dollars more for the people, but they're there working, and you're not paying payroll when there's no power. So just as an example for using VAs. So yeah, I would say 90 days. We're going to try and eliminate as much of the things that are in the way to your success. But ultimately, you're the one that's getting the speakers. You're the one that's doing the follow up with them. It's your business. As much as that, you can outsource a bunch of it, but again, the relationship with your speakers should be you. And then have your assistant, if you have an assistant, which I'm hoping you will, that person will communicate with your speaker's assistant. So that's how I would recommend it. Okay, now there's a question here that Jim's asking: are these events live? They're live online. There are no hotels. There is no travel. This is all virtual. It's all webinar, Jim. All webinar. There is virtually zero expense for you that way. I run all my events through GoToWebinar. I've had people. I had Alicia and Lorette the little sisters. They did it from London. They were doing an event in London. They raced from the live event that they were at to their hotel to go online to do the presentation for me. They went back to their event. So that's what's so beautiful about it, is that you don't have to worry about someone's schedule where they're at someplace else and they're traveling. Okay, so these are completely online events, and that gives you so much more flexibility with who you can bring on as a speaker, because they're not traveling, they're not going to a hotel, they're sitting in their living room, for example, wearing a dirty T-shirt, giving this presentation. It is a non event for them to the degree that there's no giant scheduling issue. Now, by the way, I do them live, but I'll give you a little suggestion, a little hint. Part of my rules, and this is just kind of a little hint of what you get in this event with me. Strategically, I make sure that out of every live event that we do, there are at least 2 pre-recorded speakers. At least 2 pre-recorded speakers. So God forbid power goes out, which has happened to me before. God forbid someone doesn't show up, which has happened to me before. God forbid the internet break or something happens. I have a pre-recorded session to throw in immediately to fill that gap, so I don't have dead air, because I'm broadcasting. I'm like television. Okay, so all these things, but trust me, they've happened to me, and that can make or break your success. I'll share all of them with you. Do you have to go to webinar? The answer is
tips like that. Ken, it's the tips like you just shared with us,
yeah,
that are going to make your coaching invaluable
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody wants to do this kind of thing. Obviously, just from what Ken has shared with us, he has done this. He's hit the rough spots. He's figured out workarounds so that we don't have to go through all this growing pains. We can stand on his expertise, learn from it, and just have things just run totally smoothly out of the box.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. You're right. And those are the things that come up when we're working together. They don't come up from a planned presentation. This is like, guys, we need to do this right now. When you set it up, you need to think about it. And additionally, some of your speakers will say, "Can I pre-record?" Well, the answer is yes. You can pre-record. I can't make it at that time live, but I'd like to pre-record. Or I'll be traveling someplace. I don't know if they can have good internet. Can I pre-record? I used to do all pre-recorded events, and now I went to live because I like the Q&A. So we'll talk about that model and what works best for you. Some people only do pre-recorded. I don't like that anymore, but because I want the live interaction like what we're having right now. Jim asks, do we have to go to webinar? The answer is maybe. If you want to do something with Google Hangouts, for example, then you would probably use Webinar Jam. If you're going to do a webinar, I will recommend GoToWebinar. And by the way, you don't need to sign a long-term contract with them. So there's that opportunity. I do have a good relationship with GoToWebinar, so if you need a GoToWebinar account, I can probably get you a really good deal on it. And the size of the account, you'll know what size you need based on the number of registrants. So you don't have to buy the $1,000 or the 1,000 seat webinar account unless you have 1,000 people, and if you do, you won't care, right? Um, I have no problem sharing my GoToWebinar account if there's not a conflict, but given the time of what your events will be, if your time is the same as mine, then I can't give you my webinar account. I have no problem sharing that for other people, for my students' events, because I've got the 1,000-seat one, and I tell you, I pay very, very little for that. So if it's logical for me to do, I'm happy to share my account, but understand that that is not a guarantee, because if our dates are the same, you can't run two simultaneous webinars with GoToWebinar with a GoToWebinar account. So to that degree, you do have to have some tools. But GoToWebinar, if you only used it for a month for your event, throw it away afterwards. Use it for the event. And after the event's over, you can also bring the numbers down to have a basic account with them for, say, the 100 people, for example, and pay whatever that is per month. And I may be able to get you a discount because I've got a corporate account with those guys. And so I've got my own dedicated sales rep. So, if I can do something, I will do that because, of course, it's logical. Okay. Any other questions? So you guys, let me just kind of finish this up. This when you recognize all that you're getting here. If you want to get accepted to the program, go right now. Whoops, that's the wrong link at the bottom there. Go right now. Let me see if I can find the spot here. Okay, yeah, totalpreneur.com/OESF. So go ahead, meet with me, and let's get rocking and rolling. Okay, the question is...
Before we go, I just want to answer
yeah.
this question Jim had. Can we keep doing this after our first event? Absolutely. The whole idea is that Ken is going to be with us every step of the way to help us set up that first event, to help us with getting speakers out of his own Rolodex if he has speakers that will help, have his team set up our website for us just so you can get it going. But you are going to learn the skills as you go so that you can do this over and over again. You can make this your business model. As Ken said, there's this guy that's supposedly charging $30,000 up front to associations to organize events for associations. I mean, you can do this on a regular basis for your own business. You can offer this on a per fee basis to clients. You can do this too anytime you get into a new niche to establish credibility and authority and build a list in that niche at the same time you're generating profits rather than having it be an expense to you. So this is just a fabulous, fabulous set of skills to have, which is why I'm so interested in it, and which is why I asked Ken if he would please open this up to you guys, because I just feel like this is just a very powerful formula that you can apply in many different ways indefinitely in the future, even though there might be little things that you need to make changes along the way. Ken started off calling this a world summit. Now he's suggesting we call it an intensive. Little things like that. Overall, the basic strategy will remain the same. And if you build up a reputation for yourself as doing quality conferences, then you're going to have no trouble attracting quality speakers and being able to do this over and over again in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of the give me a fish and I eat for a day. Teach me to fish, I fish for a lifetime. So once you do your first event, you'll either decide you love it and can't get enough of it, and it's exhilarating. I got to tell you, it's really exhilarating. Uh, or you may say, "Oh my God, I'll never do it again," and then of course you'll do it again because it just makes sense. No, I mean it does. It's really funny. Even the people that have a couple people that I think are going to be joining us that have so-called learned from other people that have not done as well. They said, I can't wait to do the next one. I mean, my events are done 9 a.m. Eastern time U.S. till like 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern time U.S. And that's literally all night long for me here in Thailand. And I got to tell you, I mean, so I'm like, my lights are on all night and all this, and it's amazing. I mean, it's really amazing. I sleep the next couple of days, but it is completely exhilarating. Jim's asking, how much time, if you're working in your own business right now, how much time is going to be necessary for this? That's a really good question. And the answer to that is that if you have a full-time business, I would recommend that you use some kind of VA to help you with some of the legwork. Okay. But I got to think about the hours because again, I'm in this business full time, but I would say I don't think you need to put in more than 30 hours a week. I don't want this to be a second job for you, although it will take a focus. If you're an online marketer now, it's a totally new focus for you on what you're doing, but it's a significant focus for you. You don't have to stop what you're doing right now. But if you're putting in 10 or 20 hours a week, I think you'll be fine as long as you're effective. Now, working with me will be 2 hours right there. Okay. And then contacting the speakers, you may be on the phone with the speaker for 20 or 30 minutes or even an hour. I might get on the phone with Holly and, Holly and I have to say, how much time do you have available? Because I get on the phone with Holly and when we'll blink an eye and it's an hour, and that's a good thing to the degree that we love each other. We have fun talking to each other, but at the end of the day, that does take time, right? So you want to manage your time, but it'll be fun. Your biggest time the biggest time you'll be investing in is really your promotion, because once you get all the speaker stuff, all the creating the website stuff, we're going to do for you. So you just have to accumulate all this stuff, and then we're going to build it. That takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. There's a lot of money in that, quite frankly. But that's why we're doing it, because we want to make sure it gets done for you. I mean, plain and simple. It's expensive for us to do, but I've got a team that's building it for me anyway, right? So for us to clone what we're doing, add your stuff, customized for you, it's it's phenomenally shortcut for you. It's a total easy button, and that's why you won't have to worry about as much timing on that, because we will have it all built for you. Okay.
I would strongly recommend that. I love the idea of Ken trying to get that free trial for the VA. I would strongly recommend that anybody wanting to do this would think about taking on a VA, because I personally, I have an assistant. I honestly, he probably reduces my workload by about 20 to 30 hours a week. And he's only a part-time person. It's amazing. I mean, just the workload it takes off of me, and to do a lot of this stuff like collating, getting the bios from the speakers and following up with them to make sure you have it. Why should you be doing that? That's something that can very easily be done by a VA or,
Yeah.
a minimum wage worker. You
Yep.
don't need to waste your time
Yeah.
with
It's
that
it's
stuff.
it's clerk work. I mean, you've got to get their bonus, and you got to make sure you get the download link for their bonus and all that stuff. That's not the highest and best use of your time. So yeah, that's for sure. And we'll talk about that business model and how to build the system. Jim's asking, after you do this once, do you tend to stay in the same niche business? Let's get down to fundamentals here. I want you to build a long term business for yourself. I don't want you being a bumblebee, if you will, or a ping pong ball bouncing from area to area. Now, that said, you may do an event in one marketplace and just not like it. You may like, you know what, I'm not loving this marketplace. I'm not loving the energy. It doesn't ring for me. I'd rather be somewhere else. Then do an event in that other marketplace. But my intention for you is that you build a business in that niche area that you're passionate about, so that way all the authority that you built, the list that you built, has long-term value. I mean, the idea of doing this isn't to do it just once to make a couple of dollars, although a lot of you are thinking, oh gosh, I need to make the mortgage next month, perhaps, or whatever. I want to do this. Now, I don't want you to be in survival. The best match for us is someone who's very, very motivated, who wants to build a long-term business that can afford to pay the mortgage this month. Okay, because understand that this is not a $99 training, so you got to be able to actually afford the training and not be coming from desperation. Because if you come from desperation mentally, you won't achieve the same kind of results that you need. So I want you to be a very success oriented person. That said, if this event works for you and works well, you'll want to start planning your next event, whether it's annual or every 6 months, or whether you want to do a quarterly event. You could do bi-monthly workshops. I've done a number of different weekend workshops, which
Ken,
which can be perfect for you. Yeah.
I have a little different take on the answer to this question. I hear what you're saying and I agree
Yep.
with it, but I
Yep.
think that this is a skill that can be applied to multiple niches that are related to one another. So let's say you have this passion for the chiropractor niche, and you built this connection, and now you've got a back end for chiropractors. Let's say that same back end would work equally well for massage therapists. So now you've got the skill and you can run an intensive for massage therapists, and now you have a back end and you're also dealing with massage therapists. I mean, I could see you doing an annual conference for four different related niches,
Oh,
massage
absolutely.
therapists,
Absolutely.
chiropractors. So I think that that's kind of what Jim was asking is, do you have to stick with just one niche, or is this something you can apply to other niches?
Thank you for
Rather than having to do a new conference every time, though, I would suggest, like Ken said, that at the very minimum, that you would do an annual event in the niche, every niche that you establish yourself in.
yeah, and it's interesting, Holly. What you're saying to me is we're both agreeing. We're just I think chunking in different areas.
Yeah.
When I created World Chiro, that was to build my brand for Boost Your Practice, which was to do the massage therapist and the ancillary businesses that came around that. So the next one was going to be a massage therapist one. The next one was going to be for veterinarians. The next one was going to be for dentists, and so on. All of which fed the branding for BoostYourPractice.com. So what you're suggesting is exactly right on. That's exactly what I want all of you to be doing is is for sure. The more you can be specific in what your event's going to be, the more successful you're going to be because you're more targeted. And by the way, Steph's saying that the scheduling page is slow to load. So stick with it. It does work. For some reason it's not loading as quickly as it should, but it does load and it does work. So get on that get on that schedule with me. And again, there's no cost to do that. And I'll get your questions answered too. If we haven't answered them on this, I'll get them answered, of course, in our interview. But yeah, I want this to
Right.
be
And with that,
go ahead. I want this to be a long term deal for you. Period. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't want to rush us off, but I don't know if
No,
you guys are noticing. I'm actually falling asleep
are
here.
you? And
I,
I realized I thought we were going to be 90 minutes and we've gone longer.
yeah, this is very late for me, guys. I'm an early to bed, early to rise person, and so I'm not drunk. I just sound that way because I'm like beyond. Yeah, I'm sleep deprived, and
well,
just if you have any other questions, let's get to them quickly because I'm going to need to go lie
well,
down.
you
I'm
know what? If
starting
you,
to feel dizzy. I'm so
well,
tired.
let's do this. If you guys have any other questions, get on the interview with me. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So if there's other specifics, get on the interview with me. We'll decide whether or not this makes sense for you and for your business. Again, this is a really significant long term play. But the cool thing about it is you get to jumpstart right now. I mean, we're talking about a a 90 to 120 day profit center generation that can last you for a lifetime. So this has roots. This has legs. So pretty significant. Holly, thank you for putting this together. I really, really appreciate that. I always
Oh, I
love.
know. I am just so glad that you made the time to do it. And thank everybody who stayed with us for the entire two
I'm
hours.
sorry we
Thank you
went. I
so
didn't
much.
realize we were going this long, and so
I only
so
know it because I'm starting to fall asleep where I sit. And I don't want to start snoring into the microphone.
no, that would
I
probably be.
have fallen asleep while reading a book, and I didn't
Mm,
want to be
I have.
falling asleep while I'm on the webinar.
The worst thing is I was actually talking to one of one of the guys in my team, one of my programmers, and I'm laying on the couch talking to him, and the next thing I know, I was like babbling. I actually had fallen asleep while I was actually speaking to him,
Oh
which,
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, no, I could not make that one up. I was humiliated. I was like, what the heck was I saying? What was that? I need to go to bed right now. Goodbye. So it was really bad.
Oh, that's
So
hysterical.
is anybody having any trouble getting in? I want to make sure you get into that scheduler. Um, but you should have no problem getting into the scheduler. Just set it up.
If you have any problems scheduling the appointment with Ken, just contact me at askhollycotter.com and I'll have Ken get in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm typing that into the chat room
Awesome.
here.
And just when you get on the scheduling page, I'll show it to you real quick here. Where did it go? Should be right here. Yeah, what you'll do is you'll pick a time. So let's say we pick 11:45 a.m. Today, for example. It's my today. You just click next, and then you'll. Oops! Oh, you got to select three times. There you go. So we'll do
Does it
11:40.
tell them what time it is for them?
Yes, it's in your time zone.
Oh, okay.
It's in your time. This is like the great.
You're selecting three times?
Well, I'm showing. Yeah, you got to select three times. Okay, so
Oh, I
right.
missed that part.
Yeah, you got to select three times. Well, it won't let you mess up.
Gotcha.
You select three times. This, by the way, this scheduling software is awesome. It's called Schedule Me. And what will also save your sanity is that, like, when you want to connect with one of your JV partners, for example, have them schedule it. It's really cool.
Wow.
So awesome. Yeah. Okay. So cool. Yeah, Steph. As soon as I get off this thing, I'll confirm. I'll confirm you because I don't want to change screens here. But just put your information in. Just make sure that you put your Skype ID in. Okay. And if you don't have a Skype ID, go to skype.com, skype.com, and get one. It's free. But we work off of Skype. And that's how our coaching will be in many cases. If not a GoToMeeting thing, when you need me, I'll be on Skype, sort of thing. And I do all my communication on Skype. Quite frankly, partially because I'm in Asia. The other part is just so dang easy to use, and so we'll do a lot of face to face as well on Skype. So make sure you do that. And then I asked for your location just to have an idea where you're at, so I know what time of day it is for you. But the scheduler does actually do your own time zone, which is like so brilliant. And that's it. You should have access after that once you schedule it to the survey. Fax the survey back to me. If you don't have it back to me in time for this thing, that's fine. I just want to get you scheduled and get this done because again, we are starting next week. So
I
that's
see
it.
Steph says that she got in and she's looking forward to the confirmation of time. That's great, Steph.
Yeah, as soon as we're done with this, like I said, I'll go and I'll pull. It sends me an email, and normally it could do it automatically. By the way, this software is so cool. It's just I have to integrate my Apple Calendar into Google's Calendar, and I haven't done that yet. So once you do that, you can set it up to it will automatically approve it based on the time you say you're available. So this is a
Kim,
tremendous. Yeah.
just an aside, I just realized this is quite a change. Usually when we talk, you're the one who's like falling asleep during the conversation and I'm wide awake.
Yeah, yeah, right.
This
I
is,
know.
I think, the first time we've talked where you're just wide awake and I can barely follow the
I,
conversation.
I may fall apart in a few hours because it's like I've only had 3 hours of sleep last night. But like I said to you in the actual presentation, I get excited about this stuff. This stuff is totally cool, and
This is exciting.
yeah, it will change. Honestly, it will change the way you do your business because you're now operating as a professional. You're operating as a producer, and you're building content. By the way, think about this for a minute. You do these events, all of it's recorded. It's your content, and we'll
Yeah,
talk about.
I've actually done these, but
Uh,
not on the scale that you're talking about.
mm,
And you have so much more expertise in it than I do. I mean, I have done these. I've done live events. I've done events on cruise ships. I've done events in hotel rooms, and I've done online conferences. But what you're teaching with the online conferences, you have some tricks that
mm.
are just, I mean, you're the only person I've heard mention them. And that's why I'm always going, well, can you share just a little
I
more?
know, I know. It's like, oh god, she's gonna do it again. She's gonna do that mind meld thing. I gotta stop her. It's like I can't do it now, Holly. You better join the program. You better join
Yeah, yeah.
Trailblazers. Anyway, go to bed. You go to bed.
Okay, I will.
And for you guys that are setting up sessions, I'll go in. Like I said, as soon as we hang up with this, I'll go in and get them scheduled and set up for you. So we'll get it done ASAP for you and get you set up to go. So thank you, you
Great.
guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Holly. I
Thank
know, I
you,
know,
Ken,
I know,
and
I
thank
know.
you, Steph and Jim and everybody else who asked questions.
Yeah, and I know that I'll be talking to you in your morning, my evening. So
Most
I'll.
likely.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. I know that for sure. So okay, everybody. Thank you. Good night for those of you that
Good
are
night.
in about to be comatose land, and for those of you starting your day like me, have an amazing day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Jim says I've never used Skype. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let me help you real quick. Okay. Go to Skype.com. So I'll get out of this page real quick. And Holly, you can go to bed. I'll just
All
I'll just
right,
finish it.
I'm going to say good night. I'm going to sign off. Good night,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody.
okay. So go to Skype.com. Um,
Oh, I'm not going to mess anything up by leaving. I'm an organizer.
no,
You might
just
want
don't
to check with me.
just don't end. Just depart.
Okay.
I've
All
actually
right. Good night,
there's
everybody.
good night, kiddo. But we've actually had events where the speakers we set them up as an organizer so that they could see the questions, and they've left, and when one person closed the entire thing down. I mean, oh my God, talk about freaking you out. So those are the things that only come from experience. So you go to skype.com, skype.com, and then it is free. Okay, where it says prices. Jim, where are you located? What part of the world are you in? Heck, you know what? I'm just going to unmute you. You just talk to me. Okay. So Jim, I just unmuted you. Where are you at?
Denver.
Okay, cool. All right. So I mean, I can do it by phone with you too, but you're going to want to use Skype in terms of communication. Um, Normally, I do Skype because I like to do face to face, just because it's just we get to know each other. Um, but you would want to use Skype anyway. For me, because I'm an American, as you can probably tell from the accent. But living here in Asia and when I travel overseas, it allows me free communication worldwide with anybody else on Skype, from chat, just like regular chat, to phone calls and video calls. It's pretty cool. Where the prices come into play is I have a US plan, which I think I'm paying $60 a year for, which gives me voicemail and so on and so forth. And I can get group conference calls with video. So you don't have to worry about the price thing. It's just free, and you'll get your own Skype ID. Okay, so
Do I
that's
have to be on the computer when you call?
actually with Skype. What kind of cell phone do you have?
It's a Android
Okay,
smartphone.
okay, cool. So yes, you can actually do a Skype call on your Android too. But to make life easier, if you I mean you just want to do phone right now, I'll do phone with you. So just put instead of your Skype number, put your phone number in, just to make life easier and faster for
Okay.
this. But okay, but normally when I do my 1 hour things, I require Skype. If you don't do Skype, I don't talk to you. And
Okay.
the big reason is because if I'm going to work with somebody, I want to see you. I want to know who you are. And I want that relationship to take place that way, right? So that's how I structure it. Especially, by the way, I've got a lot of people that I work with in Australia, and I got people in Switzerland that are members of our group, and so on. And if I got to call their cell phone in Switzerland, I don't have a European plan. I don't pay for the calls, and I don't want them to pay for the calls either. So Skype ultimately is free. Skype to
Okay.
Skype. So that's why it's there. Just through in your
I've never used it, and I just don't know how to even start. I
okay.
mean,
All you would do is click. I guess you click join Skype, and then you install it. And there is a Skype app for your Android, because I use it on my iPhone and my iPad. So you just set it up with using a Facebook account or your Microsoft account, or I guess you could create a regular account too,
okay.
and just do that. So if you want to feel adventurous, you can go and set it up, and then uh, if you want to have a Skype number, you can just send me an email to support at totalpreneur.com. But for right now, just put your phone number in that block and don't sweat it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
and if I mean if you have Skype set up by that time, then cool, we can play on Skype. If not, then like I said, I'll just call you. I've got free calling to Denver. Well, unlimited USA calling, so it's no big deal. If you were like in Australia, I totally require Skype because I don't want to pay for the calls.
All right. Sounds good, Ken. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, then I will talk to you soon, and we're good to go. So everybody, thank you again. I'm closing the webinar off, and I will talk to you shortly, Jim. Thanks. Then talk to you soon, Steph,
Okay.
too. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.